Tonight, Lincoln East, ranked number 3 in the state, coached by Lee Zenick, 5-1 on the year, take on the Lincoln Northeast Rockets. It's Northeast homecoming tonight, and we feel this is the premier game in the state of Nebraska on this particular Friday night. How you doing? Great to have you along. Cablevision Sports Crew is ready to bring you a good one. Lincoln East and Northeast, I'm Joe Lococo. Rick Alloway will be joining me later. We're glad to have you along. High school football, a fine game, a game that's going to matter quite a bit in the playoff picture. And speaking of the playoffs, we're going to have Rex Jones here, the Assistant Executive Director of the NSAA, and he is going to talk about the playoffs in the state of Nebraska. How time flies. It seems like only yesterday, as the band finishes, seems like only yesterday that the football season started. But here we are already. This is the 7th week of the 1979 season. Only 2 more weeks to go after tonight. Lincoln East is on top of the district standings as far as playoffs is concerned. Lincoln Southeast is 2nd. Lincoln Northeast is 3rd. Lincoln East needs a victory to stay in 1st place. Lincoln Northeast needs a victory to remain in contention for the playoff picture. If Northeast loses tonight, well, we better not talk about it. Lincoln East has Todd Zart at quarterback, a fine quarterback, vying for all-state honors. His darts tonight, Zart's darts should find Scott Schottger, the leading receiver in the state of Nebraska. He's got more catches, he's got more yards in receptions than the whole Lincoln Northeast team has given up all year long. Tonight, you have to say it is the passing of Lincoln East against the defense of Lincoln Northeast. And what a lot of festivities we have. We've got the 1969 class of Lincoln Northeast here and the class of 1970 coming back for a reunion. We've got Northeast homecoming tonight. The band is here, and we're here, and we hope you enjoy it, so don't go away as Closer Look continues here on TV9. Good evening from Seacrest Field. Glad to have you back. I'm Joe Lococo. Stepping in next to me is Rex Jones, the Assistant Executive Secretary of the NSAA. And Rex, this is a beautiful night. First of all, we're glad to have you here.
Thank you, Joe. It certainly is a beautiful night for football.
We're going to talk about the playoff picture. You know, I was mentioning it seems like the football season just got underway, but here we are already 7 weeks into the season.
Boy, it sure does. Once it gets started, it really goes. And after tonight, we'll only have 2 weeks left, and then we'll be ready for the playoffs.
I know your office has been busily preparing for the playoffs. They release NSAA grid power standings every couple of weeks, I believe. But let's talk about the playoffs. This is the 5th year of the playoffs. 5 years ago, what did the NSAA think about in coming up with this playoff scheme as it currently exists in Nebraska?
Well, it's something that coaches in Nebraska had been hoping for a long time, Joe, and this is number 5. There was a committee that worked on the possibility of a playoff for a year prior to that, and then 5 years ago it became a reality, which happened to be my first year in the activities office and not too many years out of coaching, so I was instrumental in the first year. And that year we did all the figuring by hand, and we kept track of all the teams and hoped at the end of the season we had the right teams for the playoffs. Since then, we have computerized it.
You mentioned it computerized. It has grown. How about in popularity? Are all the coaches satisfied? Do you ever get any negative comments about the playoffs?
Well, that first year we just had 4 districts, and so there was just 4 teams from each class that were in the playoffs that first year. And I think one of the thing that has really improved our system was that we did expand it to 8 classes, or 8 teams per class. And we have 6 districts, and each district winner qualifies for the playoffs, plus then the next 2 teams with the highest point average. So we eliminate most of the undefeated teams who did not qualify for the playoffs previously. First, when we only had the 4 districts, I think we had about 9 teams that were undefeated that did not get into the playoffs, but we pretty well eliminated that for the most part.
So there's 6 districts in each class.
That's right, 6 districts in each class, and there are 6 different classes.
And each winner qualifies along with the 2 teams with the best record point standings other than the winners.
Right, we call those a wild card like everybody else does, and that gives us 8 teams in the playoffs.
Okay, over the years there's been, I believe, around 120 different schools that have participated in the playoffs. The championships have gone to like 20 different teams. Do you feel this is a necessity coming about in high school football across the country?
Well, I think it's just an indication of the strength of our football in Nebraska, and I think in the smaller schools it's pretty well established fact that they rise and fall with their material, and the material does reach a peak in some schools, and we do have some schools that are able to hold their programs up, but in your smaller schools, they're usually going to win the year they have the best material.
It's gotten so complicated. I wonder if you could explain just a little bit. I know you break the teams down into like first division team, second division team, and third division team. Could you explain that and how you base the computerized point standings?
Well, it is a little complicated, but really not. In the 6 classes, a team gets a certain number of points for a win. Now, we've broken that down. As you mentioned, we have their opponents into 3 divisions. Their opponents are either in the top third or the middle third or the bottom third, and if they beat a team who has won at least 34% of their games, in other words, they're in the first division team, then they get 50 points for that. If they tie one of those teams, they get 40, and if they lose to one of them, they get 30. And then in the second division goes 45, 35, 25, and if they lose to a first division team, they get, or if they, let me see now, the lower division team, a team that has not won 34% of their games, if they beat them, they get 40 points, and then 30 and 20.
It is based, the tougher the competition, the more points you get.
I think that is really the strength of our point system, and I'm really sold on our point system. I think the winners that come out at the end of the year I think our point system has proven that they are pretty much the better teams, and it is based on their schedules and their opponents and the strength of their opponents.
Okay, we're going to keep talking about these playoffs coming up. When we return, we're going to take this break first. Don't go away. We'll be right back here on Closer Look. Glad to have you back at Seacrest Field. We're continuing our talk with Rex Jones, the Assistant Executive Secretary of the NSAA and our resident expert on the playoffs. There is a new wrinkle in the playoffs this year.
Well, we do have a different classification this year, Joe. We do still have the 6 classes, but we have made the Class D an all 8-man class, and so we have 2 D1 and D2 of 8-man teams. So we have all of our about if I can remember, I think it's about 70 schools in D2 and the same number in D1. And then we have about that number in C1 and C2.
Okay, and of course the playoffs start after the regular season during the 10th week, and they conclude in the 11th week of the season, I believe.
That's right. The Tuesday following the last ball game, which I can't remember the exact dates, but 2 weeks from tonight will be the last ball game of the season. And the following Tuesday, we'll have the quarterfinals. And then that Saturday, which I believe is the 10th, we will have the semifinals. And then the following Friday, we will have the championship games.
Okay, let's concentrate just a while on Class A. I've worked up some possible ones. Now, I know nothing is definite until the end of the season. But looking at Class A right now, Creighton Prep's on top. Their rating is 45.3. Lincoln East is second at 44.1, followed by Grand Island, Westside, Burke, Fremont, Gross, and Southeast.
Right, and those point standings, as you mentioned, in 1, 2, 3, are determines their seed for the playoffs. The team with the most points becomes the number 1 seeded team, and they're at the top of the bracket. And then the team with the next most points is the 2nd seeded team, and they're at the bottom of the bracket. So supposedly we have our 2 best teams in the opposite bracket. Then we seed them 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th all the way through the 8th team according to their point standings.
So like 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, 3, 6, and 4, 5?
That's correct. And the team that's on the top of the bracket, which the number 1 team would be on the top of the bracket, number 2 team would be on the bottom bracket, determines who's home and away.
I believe in the quarterfinals, the top team is the home team.
In the quarterfinals, the team on the top of the bracket is a home team. In the semifinals, we reverse it. And then in the finals, we go east and west.
What about the east and west? It goes by, I know classes like A and C1 and D1, they're in the furthest east, I believe, and the rest are the furthest west.
Oh boy, let me see. This year, the championship game last year was at Grand Island, so the Class A was in the west. So this year, the Class A will be in the east, which means that Class B will be in the west, and we alternate all the way down through the classes. Right.
It really equalizes everything. As you mentioned, you kind of like to see the top two teams square off in that finals, don't you?
Well, of course, that's what you point for in any tournament, in the purpose of seeding teams for a tournament or a playoff, as it is in this case. But yes, that's what we're always hoping for.
Are there any unique aspects of the playoffs that differ from the regular season play?
Well, yes. Of course, there is an overtime procedure which we use in the playoffs. We have not chosen to use the overtime procedure throughout the regular season. Many states do. In fact, I would guess a majority of states have adopted the National Federation rules, which has a 10-yard, what we call a 10-yard overtime procedure. You put the ball on the 10-yard line, give each team a chance to score. And, of course, in order to determine a winner, we do have to use that overtime procedure in the championship games or in all the playoff games. And so we will not have any ties in overtime games. I think we have had 2 overtime games in the 4 years of playoffs that we've had.
Well, it sounds like a very successful program, a new innovation, these playoffs. I know the NSAA works very hard on these point standings. I'd just like to congratulate you for coming up for such a good idea for all high school football fans.
Thank you, Joe, very much.
And thanks for being my guest tonight on Closer Look. Rex Jones, the Assistant Executive Secretary of the NSAA. When we come back, Rick Alloway is going to step in, and we're going to take an in-depth analysis of tonight's game between Lincoln East and Lincoln Northeast here on Cablevision TV 9. Coco alongside me, Rick Alloway, as we take a look at tonight's game. And Rick, we've got, if not the best, one of the best games of the year.
Well, I'd have to think, if you're talking about of the night at least, I think we've got the best matchup. There's obviously a lot of folks here that are anxious to see this game. There's a lot of coverage of tonight's game. I think owing to the fact that it is an important intercity rivalry, as it always is. Last year's East-Northeast game was the top drawing game of the year as far as crowd is concerned. You look up on the northeast side of the stands tonight directly in front of us, and these stands are absolutely swamped with people. I mean, they were going to fill up. East Highs will do the same thing. It is cold a little bit tonight. It is also extremely windy tonight down here on the field. I'm not sure exactly what effect that will have on the passing game. It tends to favor, if you've got a really strong wind like that, it would tend to favor your offense a little bit from the standpoint the receivers know exactly where they're going. But again, it's going to, as we saw in last Friday night's game, the wind really affects the kicking and the passing game when you're going into it. So it makes it tougher from the quarterback standpoint and the punter standpoint. So I don't know, maybe you can call it a toss-up, but I know the wind is gusting very heavily down here on the field tonight.
Let's talk about something that doesn't have a uniform on tonight, but it could play an important part in the outcome of this game, and that's the field. In between the 30-yard lines, this field is worn out. Last night they had a game here, Beatrice and Lincoln High. Lincoln High won 7-6, but the key point of the game as far as tonight's game is concerned is that the field got chewed up a little bit. You'll notice the benches in front of the where the players stand, they have sand. They're trying to rectify the situation, but it is sloppy in between the 30-yard lines, and that could play an important part tonight.
Well, it not only could, I'm very certain that it will. Also the fact that the sloppiness and the fact that normally just in this part of the season it's going to be wearing out a little bit, but the somewhat downpour rains we had last night have certainly not helped matters any. I would certainly hope that if there was going to be a power failure of any of the games this week, that it was last night's and not tonight, because if any of you may not have heard, the power did go out here last night in the booth area. The lights still stayed on for the field, but the booths and the scoring stands, the PA system, all that was out. And I talked to Al Cavett, who handles the money intake and the gate concessions last night, He said it was the quietest game he's ever been to in his life. So everybody just sat there and watched. There were only about 100 people here to begin with in the pouring rain. Not so tonight. Anytime you get an East-Northeast rivalry, as with any of them in the city, it gets redundant to say that every week, but you really turn the fans out. And we've got a solid crowd, aided, of course, by the class of 69-70 here for a reunion. Northeast homecoming in the works, and they are going to come into this game a little bit of an underdog, but certainly they've been able to rise to the occasion many times before.
You mentioned the wind being a factor. We see in the middle of the field the coin toss has occurred. Lincoln Southeast lost a toss, but they took the wind, I believe. East High will receive. We'll make sure on that later. Let's talk about a couple of the players that we're going to be seeing tonight. One is Todd Zart of Lincoln East. He keys a passing game. He's got a fine core of receivers in Schottger, Teal, Webeck's in there at times. It's the East High passing game. A lot of people feel against the Northeast defense led by their linebackers. It should be a classic confrontation.
Oh, there's no doubt about Zart's ability. A couple of weeks ago when we had East High on, I was told before the game, well, Schottger's hurt. He's got his ankle pretty well bummed up. Probably won't catch too many passes and had a superb game. So if that's the way he plays when he's hurt, you know when he's healthy, he's going to be a super receiver. As you said earlier, he already has more yardage amassed as far as receptions than Northeast is allowed. And so it's when you get that kind of a combination, a potent quarterback to receiver combination, as East High has and as Southeast has had, that's dangerous from any point of the field at any time. And that really makes your defensive players a little more concerned than they might be, because they know that at any time Zart has got not just Schottger, but a whole core of receivers out there who are capable of catching that long ball. Northeast probably has one of the finest defenses, linebacking cores particularly, of any Lincoln High School in quite some time. They are very aggressive. They're very, very big. It'll be a very tough shot for them. East High is, as always, never a really big team physically, and the Northeast squad will put some pretty hefty kids in the line at them.
Well, we're moving about 10 minutes away from kickoff. We cannot stress enough the importance of this game. East High comes in ranked number 3 in the state, according to the Lincoln Journal-Star. Northeast comes in ranked 6th. Playoff possibilities, Northeast has to win to remain in contention almost. East High needs a victory to stay on top. Only 2 weeks left, as Rex Jones was talking about.
That's true, and of course you have to wonder a little bit what effect that's going to have on the players, because even though the coaches will try and discipline them into saying, don't worry about that, that's all secondary, the most important thing out there is the other team looking across the line at you every night or every play tonight. You know they're thinking about it. They have to be. Whether or not that will make any of them more tense, with a combination of the wet field, a high wind factor out here tonight, it'll be hard to say. I would hate to see the game decided on turnovers. We have as many turnovers as we had in last week's game. I wouldn't begin to predict the outcome.
Okay, well, that's going to about do it for Closer Look this week. We've got a good one coming up. Don't go away. Lincoln East and Lincoln Northeast on Cablevision.
Live from Seacrest Field in Lincoln, Cablevision TV9 Sports presents High School Football 79. Tonight, the East Spartans and the Northeast Rockets. This Cablevision Sports exclusive is brought to you by Television Service Company, Moorhoff Power Equipment, First National Lincoln, Dairy Queen, Hodgman Splain Roberts Mortuary, Team Electronics, Kev Harding Sports Shops, Town and Country Realty, Walker Tire, and McDonald's.
Welcome to Seacrest Field, where, again, it's going to be a rather cool, breezy night for high school football, but we're not going to let that stop us. No, sir, because we've got a superb intercity game going on tonight between Lincoln Northeast and Lincoln East. We've just been informed that Lincoln Northeast head coach Bob Ells feeling a little under the weather tonight and is watching the game tonight here on Cablevision TV9. Andy Lower will be calling the signals tonight for Northeast, and we sure like to wish Coach Ells a very speedy recovery. Hope he's feeling better. Hope you'll enjoy the game tonight. You'll probably have a warmer seat than you would if you were standing out there in the field tonight. But I know he wishes he were here with us, and we hope he gets better in a real hurry. Here you see
some enthusiasm coming through.
You bet. One of the posters hanging up down here in front with what has got to be a very action-packed crowd here in their own capacity, because they're all geared up. The band was here as soon as we got here, about 6 o'clock, I think, to start working on the halftime program. They got a special one planned for the homecoming crowd here tonight. As we said, Lincoln Northeast, I believe, winning the toss and electing to receive. And so,
Lincoln Northeast won the toss. Lincoln East, I think, will be receiving.
Right, Lincoln Northeast will kick off.
Took advantage of the win.
So why don't we introduce the starting offensive lineups here. And Joel, first of all, the Northeast squad. Here's Joe Lococo.
Okay, thank you, Rick. At center will be number 50. That is Keith Ulinger, 170 pounds and a senior. At right guard, number 69, Emo Bloch, 190 and a senior. At left guard, number 61, a guy who doubles on defense, one of the standouts, the leading tackler. As Lincoln East comes out on the field, Lincoln Northeast comes out on the field. There's the man I was referring to, Doug Ayers, number 61. At the tackles will be number 77, Tobin Ehlers, a returning letterman, 211 and a senior. At right tackle, number 71, Lynn Knuth, another letterman, 246 and a senior. At quarterback, starting will be Ken Calkins. We also expect to see Jeff Johnson sometime during the game. Ken Calkins starting at quarterback. At the backs, the leading rusher on the year, Dittenber, at 80-some yards a game. And at the other back will be number 30, Mark Holt, 185 and a junior. The ends will be number 85, Dave Dietz, 195 and a junior. And at flanker back, number 5, Scott Fisher. Alternating with Fisher will be number 6, Scott Reed. Fisher's 135 and a senior, Reed's 155 and a senior. That's the way they'll line up offensively for the Rockets of Northeast tonight. 4-2 on the year, trying to defeat Lincoln East for the 5th time between these two teams. East leads the series 5-4. There's been 2 ties in the 11 years rather.
Now the East High offensive set. First of all, at split end, number 42 for East High is Scott Schottger. We mentioned him quite a bit earlier this evening, and I imagine we'll see quite a bit of him. 148 pounds and a senior. The left tackle is number 75. 75 is Mark Omtvedt, 197-pound senior. The left guard is number 61, Andy Provorce, 185 pounds and a senior. The center, number 54, Dan Weed, 175-pound senior. The right tackle is number 77, Dennis Plucknett, a 200-pound senior. And the tight end, number 88, Bob Gustafson, 210 pounds and a senior. An all-senior front line there. In the backfield, left halfback is number 33, Kevin Cole, 155-pound junior. The quarterback, number 15, Todd Zart, 165 pounds and a senior. The right half is number 44, Mike McCashlin. McCashlin is a 180-pound senior. And the flanker, number 80, Rich Teal. Teal is a 160-pound senior. As you see, Lee Zenick and the East High coaching staff escorting the East High Spartans right behind them onto the field across the way from us. Northeast, the home team tonight here on the near side. Homecoming for them. The East High Spartans across the way as the visitors.
Talk about your jinxes. Lincoln Northeast is sitting on the west side of the field tonight, directly below us. The last 5 times Lincoln Northeast fans have sat on this side, they have lost every game. They've tied 1. They're 0-4-1 when they've sat on the west side of Seacrest Field. But I'm sure you can't convince the Northeast fans that ever had anything to do with the outcome of the game. Northeast, by the way, trying to win this homecoming game. They haven't won a homecoming game for 6 years. So a lot at stake tonight, not only the ratings of playoffs, but also a little human interest story. Homecoming for Northeast. Bob Ells is home watching the game. They've got to be inspired, trying to get this one for their coach. Andy Lohr will be doing most of the coaching duties tonight. So we're about set. This should be a good one. Intercity battle, Lincoln East and Lincoln Northeast. And now with the play-by-play, here's Rick Ellaway.
Thank you, Joe.
It rhymes.
Well, you had to work at it, but it rhymes. 12 minutes racked around the clock in quarter number 1. Northeast tees it up at the 40-yard line. Kicking off, number 10, Kevin Conrad, a junior at 165 pounds. Back to receive. They'll have triple coverage back there. Cole, number 80, Rich Teal, and I believe number 22, Jeff Harrelson, also back there. Conrad puts his foot to it. Short one, squibs around. Picked up by McCashlin. Cashlin cuts back through the middle and will be dropped as he crosses the 30-yard line. Now, we mentioned that wind. However, that kick was with the wind. The wind is blowing from the south very heavily, swirling quite a bit down in the field. And we'll wait to see what sort of an effect it'll have as East High will start it out 1st and 10 from their own 31-yard line.
East High led out by Weed, the center. He's got his hands full tonight as Weed will be going up against Shepard, the nose guard for Lincoln Northeast all night long. They go nose to nose.
First play is a pitch back to Cole around the right side. He'll be out to about the 40-yard line before he's upended here on the near side.
Looks like we've got a man getting up rather slowly. That is...
Wait and see. Right in the midst of a crowd down there. Looks like it's Cole. He's here on the near sidelines. We'll have to wait and see.
Number 48 for Lincoln Northeast blocking our view, and he's not even listed on the program.
Lee Zenick comes over to check things out along with his assistant coaches. They are Lynn Young, Bob Eif, John Henry, Jim Neal, Bill Ketchley, trainer Jim Varner. For Northeast, it's Bob Ells and Andy Lohr, Bill Story, Steve Carr, Hank Williamson, Gail Cook, and Arlen Albert. As they're looking at things here on the near sidelines, the wind continues to blow. Both sides filling up pretty good. Bigger crowd they had last night with the rainstorm and the electrical problems trying to keep the field lit up.
East High backfield featuring Zart, McCashlin, and Cole. McCashlin, we talked to his dad last week. He had a good game that night, had about 126 yards, I believe. Excellent night. There you see the injured player, Cole, number 33. That's Kevin Cole, a letterman, 155 and a junior. First ball carry of the game.
Be ashamed to lose him. The sub would most likely be number 25, Jerry Pietenpaul, rather. And indeed,
Pietenpaul has seen some action this year, not that much. It looks like they've got
Harrelson in.
Harrelson.
Right. And he gets the call on the first or second and about one. Should have the first down.
I believe that tackle by Doug Ayers breaks the record for Lincoln Northeast for most tackles in a season. He needed one tackle. He wasn't involved on the first play, and that tackle should do it. And he breaks the record set by a guy who's in Stillwater, Oklahoma right now. That's Steve Damkroger.
However, it is 1st and 10 East at about the 41-yard line. Zart, your quarterback, wants to pass across the line, in and out of the hands of Bob Gustafson.
Should have been there. Gustafson got his hands on it. 210 and a senior. Crossing pattern over the middle. He had a guy on him, but he should have had it.
Shame to it had first down territory right there. Instead, it brings up a 2nd down and 10.
Northeast on the year has given up right about 60 yards per game on pass defense. That is an excellent figure. Tonight they will be thoroughly tested. The secondary for Lincoln Northeast will have its work cut out for it because of that man right there, Todd Zart and Zart's Darts.
Zart has Teal split wide to the right, and the handoff. Handoff to 44, McCashlin, and he'll be out to about the 45, 46-yard line. Depending on where they'll spot it.
Good runner. He likes to go off tackle to his left, to his right. He can go either direction with equal abilities. If he gets outside, he has the speed to turn it upfield, but he works best in between the tackles. Kind of a slashing type of runner. He gets through, has good speed when he gets in the secondary.
3rd and 6. As they bring it to the line, and Zart wants to pass. Has good protection, looks across the line, and it's complete. Complete to Harrelson for first down yardage out to about the 33-yard line of Northeast.
There you go, Todd Zart to Harrelson. Harrelson being guarded by Scott Reed. Reed couldn't stay with him. Harrelson went up for the ball, and there you see, Rick, the perfect pass thrown by Todd Zart. He just steps back in the pocket, waits for his receivers to run their pattern, and lets it go, and there you see the results, first down and 10.
Has a good offensive line in front of him, too, as he wants to pass again, almost picked off. Pass intended out there for number 84, Chip Wiebeck. And a good job on that side by Jeff Johnson for Northeast. So it'll bring up a 2nd down and 10. We can kind of expect to see East put that ball in the air quite a bit tonight. And let's remember now that the passing that Zart is doing is against the wind, according to the direction of the flags at least.
Talked to Chip Wiebeck's brother this afternoon. He said Chip's going to have a good game tonight.
2nd down and 10. Long count. The pitch back to Harrelson. Good defensive play.
Doug Ayers, number 61, the leading all-time tackler for Lincoln Northeast. He's a man that goes to the ball. Whichever way the ball's going, Ayers is there. He's in on tackles. He's got a lot of assisted tackles, but yet a lot of unassisted tackles also.
3rd down and 7. The ball placed squarely on the near hash mark at the 30-yard line. 9:54 left to play in the first quarter from Seacrest Field. No score. East High in the dark pants, the light jerseys from left to right, and you want to see a pass. And we talked about the conditions on the field before the game. That will be part of it right there. Zart dropped back to pass, slipped and fell down. They had a few words to say to number 60, I believe, Steve Burns for Northeast, who came in to make sure that he was down.
Burns, kind of a late hit. Zart on that play did not do what he's best at. He's a better drop back passer. He likes to go back, stand in the pocket, let his offensive line form it around him. That time he rolled out to his left. He is a right-handed thrower. He'd have had to been throwing against his body. It's not quite the best way to do it. East High has to give up the ball.
So it necessitates that punt into the wind, and it's going to sail out of bounds.
Good
No,
roll.
it stays in bounds. Looks like it was headed out shortly. Bounced back in at about the 8-yard line. And so Northeast will start it out deep in their own territory on the evening.
Leading rusher for Northeast on the year, and the man we expect to carry the ball most of the night is Ken Dittenber, 84-yard per game average thus far. Dittenber has come on since the beginning of the season. We saw Northeast against Omaha South. He only carried it 3 carries. He had 10 yards. Since that time, he's turned it on.
1st and 10 for Northeast. Their first possession of the game tonight. And the handoff.
Fumble.
And a fumble. Looks like East has come up with it. They have. The handoff was to 30. Mark Holt. Holt coughed up the ball about as he came up to the 10-yard line. And East High was Johnny on the spot with it.
Jeff Lade, number 50. You see the enthusiasm.
Well, we talked about the possibility in this sort of a condition with fumbles or turnovers. You hate to see it make a difference in the game.
That looked like a kind of an exchange problem between the quarterback. I don't know if the running back ever had his hands firmly on the ball.
1st and 10. 1st and goal from the 7. Zart barks out the signals, wants to take advantage of this one. Here's the pitch back to Harrelson. Good cut inside. He'll be to about the 5-yard line. Proving himself an able-bodied replacement in there. No, but take it back. It was Kevin Cole back into the ball game now.
Let's see if Zart goes to the air. He's got Teal on the far side, Schottger on the near side.
Cole and McCashlin in the backfield. There's the handoff to McCashlin.
He's in.
He's in. Now it's Cole again. Well, I'll get these right eventually. I want to give Cole credit for that, and he deserves it, because he took it all the way in for the score.
Zart handed off to the first man through, carried it down the line on a belly left series. Saw the tackle commit himself, and they went right through the vacant hole. Cole scores for East High, and East High's on the board. East High has been noted in the past as being a first-half team. We saw that against Fremont last week when they jumped out to a 14-0 lead, 21-0, I believe, before Fremont came back to make it close.
High snap. Kick is away.
And the kick is...
It is good. Good. So, 7:53 remaining to play in quarter number 1 tonight. East High takes advantage of a costly Northeast fumble deep in its own territory. And they'll push it in after 2 plays. Both of them to Kevin Cole back into the ball game after being injured on the first play of the ball game. Obviously not hurt too bad. Just had the wind knocked out of him evidently. So East will boot the ball off, leading 7-0.
Northeast really gave East that touchdown. The fumble only 7 yards away. East High with the offensive capabilities to convert turnovers into touchdowns. And turnovers could be a key tonight. That one wasn't really caused by the field, just caused by a little missed execution. Northeast, let's see if they can come back now. They'll have their hands on the ball. There you see the kicker stumble as he approached the ball.
And got kind of a short kick out of it. And it'll be picked up by Dittenber, and Dittenber's got a hole. It'll be a foot race. There he goes down the sidelines, being chased, knocked down at about the 5-yard line. Ted Arkfield just saved that touchdown.
Kenny Dittenber, the workhorse of the Northeast backfield, but you see what he can do when he gets loose. He's got the speed, and the Northeast crowd is celebrating as that brings them right back in the ball game.
Well, we're not going to see a whole lot of offensive ground yardage chewed up in the series here, as a fumble gave it to East High, and then on the kickoff return, they pick up all but 5 of it. 1st and 10 at the 5-yard line. 1st and goal for Northeast. Calkins at quarterback. Another fumble.
East High's got it. Number 45, Kurt Eubanks, the kicker, a fine baseball player. Also a fine football player. Kurt Eubanks comes up with it.
So Northeast has had all of 2 offensive plays, and they fumbled both of them away. Boy, a tough way to start out this game. So now East High will take it over at their own 9-yard line.
Not the best medicine for Bob Ells.
No,
sitting at home.
No, certainly doesn't feel a whole lot better at this point.
Speaking of Kurt Eubanks, we'll reiterate this point later.
Oh, defensive men committed themselves, and Zart slipped through the hole and picks up about 4 or 5 yards.
One of our most avid followers of Friday Night Football, John Sanders, a baseball coach at the University of Nebraska, mentioned what a fine baseball player that Kurt Eubanks is. He's going to keep an eye on him. We want to say hi to John if he's watching tonight. There's the score, 7-0 East over Northeast.
Gain of 4, 2nd and 6, 6:42 left in the first quarter. East High moving from deep in their own territory. After another Northeast fumble, Zard almost slipped on that one as the pitch goes back to Cole. Cole turns it upfield. Tripped up by errors first. 3rd down and 1, just a yard short of it.
You start seeing the stumbles and the slips on this wet field, chopped up field. You start to think that maybe going to the air might be the best thing because the quarterback just gets the ball from the center, drops back and looks for a receiver who's running a pattern that he knows where he has to go. The defender has to be the one who's guessing.
3rd and 1. The handoff, another fumble, and Northeast has this one back.
Nope,
no, wait a minute.
East
They
got
had it for a moment. Oh,
Number 85, Dietz almost came up with it, but pouncing on it for East was Cole, the halfback. There you see him saving the day for East. Anyway.
boy. Northeast had both the thrill of victory and nearly the agony of defeat on that play as they had the ball momentarily and then lost it again. East High keeps it 4 first down yardage. 1st and 10.
You can bet Dave Dietz is kicking himself. That ball was laying right next to him.
Here's the handoff. McCashland is met hard as he crossed the line.
Good point, Rick. We've talked about the field causing a lot of the turnovers, but also these two teams have good hitters on defense. When you get stuck pretty good, that ball has a tendency to pop loose, and I believe that last fumble was caused by a hard hit on the part of the Northeast Rocket defense.
I think you can ask Southeast coach Chuck Mazurski how hard those teams hit. As I remember reading last week's account of the game, he said he had to send a couple of his Southeast players to have their heads examined with the hospital after the Lincoln High Southeast game last Friday. Passing over the line, and again, it's just out of the hands of Bob Gustafson, number 88. Gustafson again would have had first down yardage, so instead it brings up a 3rd down and 8. Pass a little overthrown on that one.
Zard 1 for 4 on the night, 21 yards.
5 minutes, 12 seconds left in quarter number 1.
We'll keep up to date on Zard's statistics. Our statistician, Ron Hubert, busily preparing a statistical analysis at halftime.
He doesn't miss many of them, does he? They want to drop back on 3rd and 8, setting up the screen across the way, but it's read perfectly. The blocking started to set up over there, but number 83 for Northeast,
Roy Shelton.
Shelton shot through there, got past the East High blockers and dropped that play for a loss.
He had it set up well on the far side. He has 3 blockers ahead of him, but Shelton shot through past the interference, undetected, made the tackle.
That's the Northeast defense we've been talking about, the aggressive swarming defense.
Let's see how the punter handles the field. It's a little bit chopped up where he's standing.
Loss of 7 on that, having to punt from about his own 5-yard line.
Fair catch.
Fair catch called for right at midfield. Be a little bit tough to handle tonight as number 24, Jim Lane, comes up with it on the fair catch, and so the Rockets will start right at midfield. So far, this wet field we've talked about may come back to haunt both these teams several times before the night's over. We've seen already more than 1 or 2 plays that have been changed a little from what they were supposed to be by the conditions out there.
This will be our first good look at the Northeast offense tonight.
1st and 10. And right through the middle of the lane, or middle of the lane, I guess, goes Holt, number 30. He'll have yardage out across the 45 to about the 41-yard line. Call it 2nd down and 1. Clock running at 4:10 in the first quarter. Ball on the 41-yard line. Calkins at quarterback. Fumbles the ball again and has to pick up his own recovery. So that's 3 Northeast fumbles tonight. They've lost 2 of them. So now instead of a 2nd and 1, they'll have a 3rd down and 1.
Northeast on the year has averaged 4 fumbles a game, and they've lost 1 per game.
They actually lost a little bit of yardage on that particular play. It's still listed as 3rd and 1, but the stakes got moved back about a foot or so.
There was a horn section. Northeast band.
Calkins with a pitch back to Dittenberg, and he'll be stopped for no gain.
Ken Dittenberg last week went over the 500-yard mark. As he has 506 yards on the year coming into tonight on 84 carries. He scored 6 touchdowns. He averages right at 6 yards a carry. He didn't get it that time, though, as the East High defense cracked down.
And Northeast will have to punt that ball away. Still show a strong wind blowing across the field.
Northeast on the year has averaged 5 punts a game, 156 yards, right at 31 yards a punt.
Long hanging punt that will take an East High bounce, go into the end zone. They'll bring it out to the 20, and the Spartans will start it from there.
Well, Rick, we've seen about all the first quarter. What about the field? Is it playing that big a part on the game?
I think so. I think you can't help it but say that it is, as you see the Northeast coaching staff, assistants down the sidelines, a little concerned about it. We'll talk more about the field in a moment here. Ball at about the 19-yard, the 20-yard line right there on 1st and 10. Zart has a big hole opening up here. Has first down yardage before he's finally brought down. There's a little confusion in the blocking strategy and tackling for Northeast. Let Zart just kind of roll down the sideline and choose his way through for about 11 yards. I think when you consider the fumble situation, the fact that the footing is a little weak out there. We've seen the quarterback slip down in a couple of positions. We've seen the kickoff man slip a little bit on the field. It's got to be playing a part out there. Here's the handoff through the line. McCashlin has a big hole. He'll be first down plus about 5 territory.
Good
all
run
the way
by
out.
Right, Rick. Good run by McCashlin. But the reason he had the yardage was because the center, Weed, the guards, Kelly, and Provorce are opening up the holes. They're controlling the line of scrimmage right now. Play before last, Omtevet, the tackle, the left tackle, was downfield throwing another block. He threw his initial block. He got up, went downfield, and threw another block to help Zart out.
East High again moving upfield. Zart just rolling around on his own.
The other tackle, Plucknett, he's been downfield blocking, number 77. East High line been moving Northeast off the line of scrimmage. Thus, East High hasn't been dropped for hardly any losses except on that one screen pass, I believe.
Sure, Northeast would like to have a little bit of a break right now. First series was inside their own 10-yard line. They fumbled it away, and East scored. On the kickoff, Northeast got the ball at the East 5, fumbled it away again. East High has had some success moving the football now as they're out near midfield. Long count on 2nd and 6. The pitch back to Cole. In trouble in the backfield, but he gets away for about 2 or 3 yards. Offensive line blowing him out pretty well down there to get East High some good running room. 1:27 left in this first quarter of play from Seacrest. 3rd down and 3. East High in Northeast territory at the 46-yard line.
We have yet to see Scott Schottger catch a ball in this game.
Going to push ahead on the quarterback keeper, and they'll have what looks to be enough for the first down. Looks as though they'll probably bring in the chains and measure. Now, if you can feel Northeast frustration from having the ball at the East High 5 and not being able to score, then getting the ball back at midfield and not being able to score, as East High comes up with a 1st and 10 with 55 seconds left to play in this quarter. Todd Zart, number 15, barking out the signals. The handoff, another big hole opens up for McCashlin. Following his blocks well across the 40-yard line down to about the 35 before he's brought down. Clock continues to count down to 35 seconds now. Gain of 8, 2nd down and 2. East High moving very, very well on the field now. Primarily keeping it on the ground. Zart has not had all that much luck passing. This one looked as though it might have been maybe tipped a little bit going over the top. It is short. Stops the clock with 19 seconds and brings up 3rd down and 2. Joe's point certainly very well taken. We have not seen Scott Schottger.
Leading receiver in the state with 24 catches, 522 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
But, as they say in your territory, the night is young. So 3rd down and 2 could be coming at any time. You probably didn't know that, did you?
No.
I'll explain it later.
Northeast defense kind of stiffening up.
A little bit. It should be short of the 1st down.
There's a Spartans cheerleading squad, pep squad, located on the far side of Seacrest Field, according to our location. They are on the east side of Seacrest Field. That's the end of the quarter. There we go.
4th down and 1 as the first quarter comes to an end here at Seacrest Field. East High jumped out to an early lead with less than 5 minutes gone in the quarter and leads after 1, 7-0. 3 more to go. Stay with us, won't you? Big games to talk about tonight. We'll talk about that in a moment here as East High faces a critical 4th and 1, and they are going for it at the 34-yard line. Flags are thrown, though. Flying, too, for that matter. Thrown in the backfield, so it would appear that we'll probably have a motion penalty called against East. So that is the penalty called, and it will bring up a 4th down and 6, which changes the situation a little bit. As they'll march off the 5 yards there and put the ball right back in about the spongiest part of the field from the way the water has soaked into it at about the 37, 38-yard line.
Penalty on East High, illegal motion. 4th down, 6.
But the Spartans will again go for it on 4th and 6, showing confidence both in their offense and in the East High's defense.
No doubt about his allegiance this evening, carrying his I'm a Rocket fan balloon. East High trying to take the air out of it tonight.
Maybe it'll be the class of 87 we're looking at there. Who knows? 4th down and 6. Zart rolls to his right, has the 1st down.
Good running room on the far side, the right side of the Lincoln East line. Plucknett and Kelly blowing out their guys. We talked to Rick about the top 10. We'll run them down here once the East High's drive is settled, one way or the other.
Obviously, Northeast a little upset with the defense letting them up on 4th and 6. But again, as we said, Northeast, any defense has to have a lot of respect for East High from running or passing and has to try and play both sides at once as the handoff through the middle of the line. McCashlin gets the call down to about the 23-yard line. East High moving very well here. That is, check that. Yeah, it's McCashlin. 2nd down and 2. Gain of 8 on that one. Northeast sends number 71 into the ball game. Lynn Knuth, the starter. And number 6, Scott Reed, will come out, beefing up the line a little bit.
2nd down and 3. This might be a good time for our first look at Schottger. Let's see what he's doing.
Zart wants to roll and slips to the ground. And that's the 2nd time tonight Zart's taken the dive in the wet turf.
It's a little surprising with the wind. Lincoln East going with the wind this quarter. That Zart hasn't gone to the air. It's 3rd down and 3. The yardage needed might necessitate a pass as number 82 comes in the game for Lincoln East. That's Hubble.
Schottger leaves the ball game. Knuth back out for Northeast. Now they'll try and beef the secondary back up a little bit, expecting a pass perhaps on 3rd down and 3. Read that one right. Is it complete? They'll say so.
Oh, that was close.
The Northeast fans just breathing trap on that one. McCashlin says he caught it. The officials agree. 1st and 10 at about the 13-yard line. Kind of a tough call for the officials to make as none of them are really in the right position to see that one.
That was awful close to the ground. It might have been a trap, but we'll go with their word.
You betcha.
Okay.
Timeout, Northeast.
Let's run down the top 10 according to Chuck Sinclair, our good buddy over there at the Lincoln Journal and Star. Creighton Prep is number 1. They are 6-0 on the year. Tonight, Creighton Prep takes on Omaha Northwest, 2-3-1. Another Omaha matchup. Creighton Prep against Omaha Northwest. Number 2 is Westside. Westside tonight takes on Omaha Ryan. Ryan 3-3 on the year. Number 3, of course, is Lincoln East taking on Northeast. Number 4 is Grand Island. Grand Island tonight plays Fremont. That's at Grand Island. Number 5, Lincoln Southeast. We'll see them tomorrow night. The place to be, TV9 tomorrow night, as we've got Norfolk and Lincoln Southeast. Southeast rated 5th in the top 10 of Class A. Number 6, of course, is
Lincoln Northeast, 4-2 on the year. Number 7 is Omaha Burke, and they're playing Omaha North tonight at Omaha Burke. Burke 5-1 on the year. Number 8 is Fremont. They've got their hands full, as I mentioned, playing at Grand Island against Ken Fisher's Islanders. Fremont 4-2 on the year. Number 9 is Omaha Gross. Omaha Gross plays at Bellevue East, 2-1 Bellevue East. Gross 5-0-1. And the number 10 team is Omaha South. We saw them the first week of the season defeat Northeast 9-7. Omaha South, number 10, 3-2-1 on the year. Tonight they are playing at Millard, 3-1-2 on the year. And there you have the Class A top 10 through 6 weeks of the season.
Perfect timing on that one as it brings up a 1st and 10, and McCashlin gets the call as he'll cross the 10-yard line to about the 9. Andy Lohr had been out talking to his charges, normally the defensive strategist for this Northeast team, so he still will fulfill that category tonight, though he is also calling the offensive signals for the ailing Bobels. So we have just over 10 minutes left to play in this first half. Schottger is now split wide to the left for East. Here's the pitch to Cole. There's a good turn around the right side, but he's swarmed under by the Northeast defensive line.
Scott Reed was the first man through. The man you saw come flying through just got his heels, but it did slow up the play a little bit. Now we've got 3rd down, and let's see. It's going to be about 4 to 5 yards. Let's call it 5.
3rd and a long 5 from where they'll mark it. 9.5 minutes and another timeout called now. This will be charged to Lincoln East.
Once again, Zart, you got to feel he's going to the air on 3rd down and 5 especially. There's Northeast bench again. You might notice where the coaches are standing. There is sand from the 40-yard line to the other 40-yard line. And last night, Beatrice and Lincoln High went at it. And there you see the footing. If you can see the sand just off the out-of-bounds line all the way back to the dugout. Behind the players, you can see it.
So the sand down there making the footing, trying to absorb as much of that water as they can and give the players a halfway decent footing on the sidelines. But it doesn't help where they really need the help, and that's out in the middle of the field, as the field is pretty chewed up. 3rd and 5, very important call for East High. And again, Andy Lohr comes off the field. There you see him trotting off. Big defensive play coming up for the Northeast Rockets. They'll split Schottger again wide to the left.
5-man front.
Here they send McCashlin to the middle of the line. He does not have the 1st down, but he'll be very close.
McCashlin was stopped at about the 5-yard line, but the tackler's momentum carried him forward. They're going to mark it at about the 3.5-yard line. Nose of the football just short of the 3-yard line. So it's going to be 4th down and 1. And once again, East High kept it on the ground going off the left guard. 9-10 to go in the second quarter.
Teal is out of the ball game. Schottger and Chip Wiebeck are split.
Double team on Schottger on the near side. Wiebeck working on single coverage on the far side.
4th and 1. Zart has the touchdown.
All that for Naza to keep it on the ground and get it in.
Looked pretty easy on that one as a handoff to the big fullback, McCashlin. Boy, McCashlin just bowled his way in for the score.
McCashlin over that offensive line. You can't give these guys enough credit in the offensive line. Most of the time they don't get any. Kelly's at right guard, Plucknett at right tackle, Gustafson, the big tight end, through a key block. Weed, Provorce, and Omtvedt in the line for Lincoln East.
McCashlin, the 180-pound senior, has the 2nd East score for the night, 13-0. PAT will be blocked.
Low kick that was blocked in the middle of the line of scrimmage. It wasn't blocked by a man coming onto the kicker. It was blocked in the middle of the line of scrimmage. You know, East High is going with number 70, Tom Hatton, as their kicker. Eubanks, the usual kicker, is not kicking tonight. He did not kick last week due to an injury.
Lest any of you think East High was running out of a different set on that last play. No. It is still Levere. McCashlin and Cole, the dual halfbacks in there. Both of them tremendous speed. They both had seen an awful lot of action so far just tonight in this first quarter and the approaching 4 minutes of the second quarter.
Northeast really needs a long drive to get back in this ball game. There's Dittenber back deep. You saw the first return by Dittenber.
Dittenber almost broke it.
He won't get his hands on it this time, though.
Bobbled around, picked up quickly by Jim Lane. Lane slipping, be knocked down short of the 20 at about the 15, 16-yard line.
Jim Lane had a 75-yard kickoff return against Fremont. That tied a school record for most returns in a single season, so he is capable of breaking it. However, on this kind of field, the chances are diminished.
So Northeast will again have their work cut out for them, starting out at about their own 17-yard line, 1st and 10, 8.5 minutes left to play in this first half. Dittenber and Holt in the backfield as the quarterback finds himself in trouble quickly and is dropped. Calkins back at about the 14-yard line for a loss of about 3 yards.
Calkins on the year has carried the ball 58 times for 147 yards, 2.5 yards a carry. He doesn't like to carry it that well, but he is capable of doing it. He's a good runner.
Loss of 2, 2nd down. Calkins to Dittenber. A big hole opens up.
Trap play off guard and tackle on the left side. East High defense wasn't prepared for it.
But they closed in very quickly.
Did you see big number 76, John Irwin, help him to his feet that time? One hand in the middle of the chest and pulled him up.
A friendly gesture. They'll talk things over here as they're sending Scott Fisher in. Scott Reed will come out.
As long as he's smiling when he's doing it.
Certainly for the Rockets. 3rd down and 5 coming up. 7.5 minutes left before intermission. Halfway there, the Rockets. They need a big break here on 3rd and 5. They're going to pass. He needs to get it off quickly as the pursuit is being applied by Tom Hatton.
Also number 76, John Irwin.
Right, the man you just mentioned coming around there.
If you get a chance to take a look at Irwin's stance when he lines up on defense, he gets lower than any lineman I've ever seen. He just gets spread out. He almost puts his nose guard to the ground. He really gets low.
Loss of 2, 4th and 7 from the 19. And he'll have to boot the ball away again. Here you see the Northeast offensive set.
Lynn Knuth coming in off the sidelines.
They're going to have to call another timeout here. They were short a man.
There he is, number 67, Jack Noel.
Ayers comes off the field, and Northeast is the offensive huddle a little upset at having to waste a timeout to get an extra man onto the field here. Been a lot of timeouts called early, Joe.
Form is held true tonight. East High, an offensive-minded team, passing-wise, has developed a running game tonight to go along with it. But the form showed that East High was a first-half team. East High in the first half has shown their dominance. Northeast hasn't gotten much started offensively. Turnovers have been part of that. But Northeast is kind of noted as a second-half team. So we'll see if East High comes out in the second half trying to change their image as a first-half team. Northeast needs to get something going offensively. A break could be the determining factor.
Could be. Here comes the punt. Low snap, but the ball is away. Looking at it, Schottger and Rich Teal. Teal slips when he picks it up and it'll be dropped.
Good punt coverage by Northeast.
And again, that footing out there, you can just see Teal that time kick a whole foot full of dirt up as he tried to get started, as the ground is very mushy out there at this point.
Todd Zart with a lot of time to use, 6 minutes and 29 seconds. Only 46 yards away from pay dirt.
So 1st down and 10 as the Spartans get the ball in Northeast territory at the 46-yard line. Zart turns, wanted to pitch it off the last minute, decided against it. Big number 83, Roy Shelton, was around his waist, dropped him for after a gain of only about 1.
Northeast Band preparing for their halftime at Homecoming 1979. Band director Jeff Klintberg's got a good show planned. Of course, you'll be able to see that along with a special interview. All that at halftime here on TV 9.
2nd down, 9. Place the ball at about the 45-yard line. East High with 5 minutes, 40 seconds left to play. A lot of time. Zart wants to pass. Looking down the sidelines. Complete for 6.
There you
Complete
see him.
to Teal on the right side, flying down the sidelines, beat both the defenders.
He had single coverage, though. It was 1 against 1 going down that sideline, and Todd Zart, how well can you throw that pass? I think we just saw 100% efficiency exhibited by Zart as he laid it in the hands of Teal. Teal never had to break stride, And there you see the hero of the moment, Rich Teal, number 80, as the East High staff goes crazy.
Well, we've been wondering when East High would use the wind they had with them. They did at that point. And now to try and even the score for that blocked kick, they will try going for 2.
Off
Zart,
tackle.
handoff to McCashland. He's in, according to one official.
That was individual effort by McCashland. He was stopped at about the 2-yard line, but the late drive kept him moving forward. He got the 2 points, and East High makes up for the missed PAT by Hatton, 21-zip.
And Northeast has got to feel the pressure right now, down 21-0 to the number 1 team in the city. 5:35 left to play in the second quarter, but they're already down by 3 touchdowns. They've got to get something moving here before this half runs out.
East High has been completely dominating on offense. East High offense noted for its flair, the long pass. Teal right up there in the receiving core, equal talent-wise as Schottger. Schottger's had a little bit more opportunity to catch the ball, but Teal has good hands, and he showed them that time.
Hatton kicks it off, taken by Dittenberg at the 10-yard line. Tries to find a hole, will not find one. He'll be out to about the 27-yard line before he'll be dropped by number 85 for East, Dave, Skip Scott Nelson.
Along with Tim Clare, number 36 right there.
So Dittenberg, hoping for another long run, is denied that. And Northeast will take over at about their own 28-yard line with 5.5 minutes left to play before halftime.
Didn't take East High long to get on the scoreboard that time. Took over with 6:26 to go, and they scored almost immediately.
Dittenberg gets the pitch and will be dropped for a loss of about 4 or 5 yards as the East High defense came shooting through there.
Bob Gustafson and Jeff Lade, rather.
88, Gustafson just really was through that line in a hurry. Anticipated that play and had Dittenberg just about the same time he got the ball. Loss of 5, 2nd and 15. Spot the ball at the 24-yard line.
Calkins might have to go to the air, counteract this East High attack.
Again, the call is to Dittenberg through the middle, and he'll have virtually no yardage. A gain of perhaps 1 or 2. It'll bring up 3rd and long, 3rd and 14. And the clock continues to run down to 4.5 minutes. The East High defense just digging in, denying Northeast any sort of game offensively. Third and 14, ball spotted right at the 25.
Up front for Lincoln Northeast, Eulinger's the center, Block and Ayers the guards, Ehlers and Knuth the tackles. They're having trouble trying to control that line of scrimmage.
3rd and 14, they want to pass. Lobs it up there, way off target, and nearly intercepted here on the near sidelines. As number 48 for East came shooting through there, and Troy Armagost almost had himself an interception at the 45-yard line. Wind caught that one.
Kind of a rainbow pass, came down, couldn't find its intended receiver. Ken Calkins having kind of a tough time in this first half. His team hasn't been able to do much offensively. The defense has been trying, but they've got quite an opponent tonight offensively, Lincoln East. Tough through the air, and tonight they've got a ground game to go with it.
4th and 14, they'll have
They
to
got a
kick
rush
it away. Tried to rush.
9-man rush.
Got the ball away anyway. Schottger will fair catch at the 50-yard mark.
Eastside went after that one. They had 9 guys coming through.
So with just 4 minutes left to play in the half, East High will get the ball back smack at midfield. Didn't take them long to score last time. We'll see what they'll put together this time. Schottger is split here to the near sideline.
Let's see where Zart's darts isn't going this time.
The pass is tipped. So that will fall incomplete and bring up a 2nd down and 10.
They had a screen pass set up on the far side to a running back coming out of the backfield. But a Northeast lineman got his hand on it, deflected it, and it didn't get there.
That stops the clock at 3:51. With a 2nd down and 10 for East. Zart rolling to the right, cuts inside as good yardage, 1st down yardage. Inside the 40-yard line to about the 38 or 39.
There's one of the reasons why Todd Zart is so highly sought after among the colleges. A lot of colleges showing an interest in Todd Zart because he can tuck the ball away and turn it upfield. He's not afraid to take a few licks in there. He can become a drop back quarterback, drop back be protected, throw the ball, but he can also run it.
Back to pass on first down. Zart. There's Schottger's first completion of the night. And he's losing yardage as he almost ran himself back out of the first down territory.
Finally got to see another catch by Schottger. That's his 25th of the year.
As you see, 21-0 to score here. As a matter of fact, he did run himself out of the first down territory. It'll be a 2nd down and 1.
Zart on the night, 5 out of 10, 50% completion for 81 yards.
3:08 left. Zart passing it away. Hit as he passed the ball, intended for Teal, incomplete. 3rd down and 1 coming up. Just a tad over 3 minutes left in this first half. A bunch of Muppet characters lining up down on the field. I assume for halftime. I hope so.
As long as they don't come out wearing a black uniform in the second half.
Otherwise, you'll see Statler and Waldorf calling the game in the second half for you. 3 minutes, 4 seconds, 3rd and 1. They'll hand it off to McCashlin, and he'll have it.
Should be an interesting halftime in the locker room of Lincoln Northeast. They have not played that bad defensively in the first half. There you see some of the characters. Lincoln Northeast defense has been tough. However, they are just going up against so much tonight. If their offense doesn't get untracked, it kind of gets a little discouraging for the defense. And this guy doesn't help, Todd Zart.
Zart away to Schottger, complete at the 14-yard line. He'll be out of bounds there.
Perfect pass by Zart, a spiral right on the target. He actually throws that ball before Schottger even turns around. Schottger just goes down so many yards, turns to his left on this time, and Zart lets go of the ball before he's even turned. Schottger looks up, and the ball's right there.
Absolutely no replacement for that kind of experience of having just worked on that connection for so many times. Zart rolls to the right, keeping the defense honest on it, has about 7 or 8 of the 10 he needs for the first. Clock continues to run. 2:39 now left to play in the half.
Well, Feast High is a first half team. They're building up a good cushion for that second half coast, but we'll find out.
2nd down and 3, Joe, with 2 minutes, 25 seconds. Schottger split to the left here. Zart looking for him. Oh, almost picked off.
Good coverage by number 33 of Lincoln Northeast, Brian Shanks, a 150-pound senior. That's some of the best coverage we've seen all night on an East High receiver.
East High's receivers have been extremely open all night tonight. Not been too tight.
If they're not open, it seems like they can go up in the air and get the ball away from a defender. As Kevin Hubble checks in.
3rd down and 3, with 2 minutes, 15 seconds left to play in this first half. East High at about the 8-yard line. Here's the pass into the end zone, knocked away at the last minute. A beautiful defensive play by number 47, Pat Strauss. Pump fake kind of froze the linebackers on that one, but the secondary stayed with it.
Trying to hit Teal in the end zone. Kind of faked him, as you say, the first time. As you said, the first time, that froze the linebackers. Teal did a down in and then headed out towards the post, toward the flag rather, in the corner of the end zone. And Zart tried to loft the ball over the defender, but Strauss got his left hand on the ball and knocked it away.
4th down and 3. Now, if you're Lee Zenek, what sorts of things are you going to talk about? As Andy Lohr, the Northeast coach, is out with his huddle, defensively talking things over there as you see him. The ball's at about the 8.5, 9-yard line. East High needs a long 3 yards to pick up the first down at about the 5.
Todd Zart wears that towel inside to dry his hands out. That'll be very helpful tonight. Ball gets a little wet. It gets moisture on it as dew sets in throughout the night. You dry his hands off, keep it dry to get that good spiral on the ball for one of his darts.
4th and 3. Here's the pass. It is complete for a touchdown.
Pitch Teal again.
Again, Teal just sliced in from the right side, took the reception, and was in for it.
That was such a quick play developing. Lincoln Northeast defense did not even have time to react to it. Teal lined up as a split end on the far side. He just came at an angle diagonally across the field. Zart hit him with the pass, and Lincoln East offense is rolling tonight.
Virtually awesome tonight, Joe. 2:07 left in the first half, and it's already 27-0. They have just dominated play here as Northeast has been totally shut down offensively.
Eubanks in to kick this one. It's his first kick in a couple weeks, and he shows his form.
28-0 with 2:07 left to play. Northeast will get the ball back. Against the wind will hurt their passing game, as we saw in their past performance. So right now, Ken Dittenberg's got to be hoping he can spring loose another long run. He'll be back there along with Jeff Johnson and Jim Lane to receive as East High will kick it off.
On the year, Lincoln Northeast had only given up 31 points total in the first half all year. Lincoln East has 28 already, all by itself. Lincoln East 28-0. Northeast has only given up 55 points total for the year to their opponents. Lincoln East has over half that already.
Emotionally, it's going to be a very discouraging feeling right now for Northeast, realizing they've got a 4-touchdown deficit to try and correct. And their offensive game has just not been working the way they wanted to tonight. As Hatton kicks it off. Another short kick picked up by Dittenberg, the 10. Has some good running room through the middle of the hole before he'll be tackled out across the 30 at about the 32-yard line by a swarm of East High Spartans.
Lincoln East with their 28 points. That's twice as many points as any opponent has scored in Lincoln Northeast all year. Fremont scored 14. Lincoln High scored 14. East High has 28.
And in the first half, with a minute 51 left to play in half number 1.
Most points East scored on the year is 42 against Columbus. They could be on their way to that tonight.
Here's the handoff through the middle of the line. And some good running room out there finally tonight for Holt. And he'll have a first down out at about the 44-yard line. With a minute 39 left in the first half. Last couple of minutes of this half have taken quite a while to play. The Northeast band has been patiently waiting to get on the field for halftime for about the last 10 minutes. First and 10, minute and a half left to play. The handoff, but virtually no gain. As again, big number 76 for Lincoln East. John Irvin is in there to stop Dittenberg. Second down, 10. Now down to a minute 7 in the first half. Northeast deliberately thinking things over here. Wind not with them for the closing moments of this. What a pass. Looking across the middle of the line. It's complete to Dave Dietz. He'll have the first down.
What a hit by number 22, Jeff Harrelson. The axe applied.
So, Northeast offense sputteringly comes to life here in the last minute of this first half. This by far their best offensive ground game so far tonight. 43 seconds. And the clock running again. The handoff to Holt. He has good yardage.
Good example of East High gang tackling, as you see 5 Spartans getting up off that pile. But it was a good run by Holt up the middle as the offensive line for Lincoln Northeast has started to open up some holes. It could be because of the fact that East High is playing for the pass. They're dropping off a couple of guys that normally would be in there. Doug Laird's in the game for Lincoln Northeast on the near side, the left side end.
Another first down, first and 10, 23 seconds left in this first half. Dittenberg gets the call, and he'll be stopped. And Northeast will take this time to use their last timeout.
Another gang tackling exhibition by Lincoln East. Northeast, it would help, if looking at it from the Rocket point of view, if they could get on the board. In the locker room, I mentioned at halftime, it should be an interesting conversation. I know if Coach Els was here, he'd have a few words to say, but the Northeast coaching staff has got to just bring them back. It doesn't help to get down on them, really, because they're playing their hearts out.
You know the frustration that Bob must feel sitting home right now, if he did, have some suggestions to make or something to offer, just how much he's feeling for his kids right now, not being able to do much about it.
Maybe they got one of those open phones in the locker room. Be like Charlie.
Second down and 9. 15 seconds left, so it comes down to a couple more plays, and that'll wrap up this half. Northeast probably has a couple of plays called here. They have Reed split wide to the right. Little confusion here, and quarterback will be dumped for a big loss, as they could not get the play off The clock continues to run, Joe.
Number 76, John Irwin from that low stance, as that's going to do it for the half, Rick.
That's the end of the first half. East High dominating tonight at Northeast Homecoming and their attempts to spoil it for the Rockets at the end of the first half. East High 28, Northeast nothing. We'll be back. Just been entertained by the Northeast Band at halftime for homecoming tonight for Northeast, as the Rockets find themselves kind of a melancholy homecoming performance, as you see the bass drum player for Northeast, the band just off the field. And of course the fact that it is homecoming sheds a little bit of happiness and warmth into this game, because otherwise the Rockets haven't got a whole heck of a lot to cheer about at this point. They're down 28-0 as East High just dominated the performance in that first half, as Northeast could get no offensive ground game put together. As we mentioned, the yardage, total yardage at the end of the first half, extremely lopsided. Unfortunate for the Northeast Rockets, but East High's offenses looked, well, Joe, we can't say anything less than say awesome, because they have been just that.
Todd Zart has shown his true brilliance on the field. What a passer. What a run up the steps.
You do that more often.
But anyway, strengthens the thighs. There you see it, 28-0. Northeast in the second half has got to buckle down offensively. You'd say defensively they've been weak, but they haven't been weak on defense. They knew that East High would score some points. But East High offensively has done what they expected of them. Northeast offensively has not. They have not got their offense on track. Defensively, Northeast has been on the field quite a bit.
Defensively, East High has been able to anticipate very well Northeast's offensive set. They've stopped Dittenberg several times in the backfield. They've been dogging Calkins at quarterback all through the first half. So I wonder what was talked about at the halftime for both coaches as Northeast kicks it off to start this second half. This is Harrelson with the ball, has a big hole around the right side.
Ran into his own guy as he crossed the 25-yard line.
Brings the ball out across the 30 to about the 32, where East High will take it over 1st and 10 from there. Just underway in the second half, third quarter of play from here at Seacrest. Glad to have you with us tonight. A little bit of a blustery fall night here as the wind's been whipping around pretty good tonight. Cablevision TV9 with another of the classic intercity rivalries, East and Northeast.
It's good to see Maury Damkroger in attendance this evening.
Here's the handoff on the left side, as Cole will be out to about the 35-yard line on the first play of the second half.
Maury, old number 46 for Nebraska. He played fullback, had a good career at Nebraska, a great career, went on to play with the New England Patriots. Now he's coming back to enjoy his brother's heroics on the football field. And I tell you, that brother of his, younger brother, Steve Damkroger, is really turning it on. Damkroger and McWhorter, the linebackers for Nebraska, both were redshirt freshmen, and they've got a great career ahead of them.
An encroachment penalty. Now that's only the second penalty of this ball game. Both of them, I believe, have been against East. We'll check with our Eagle statistician who confirms that for us. So instead of 2nd and 6, 2nd and 11. The pump fake, looking here on the sidelines for Teal, thrown a little bit out of bounds. Teal covered pretty well by Jeff Johnson. So it brings up a 3rd down and 11.
Penalty flag on the play, Rick. Got a personal foul against Lincoln Northeast.
So no sooner do we get through marking down only the second penalty of the ball game when the third is whistled. That'll be a 15-yard penalty, which will give the first down to Lincoln East. Certainly not what Northeast wants right now. Fighting for everything they've got. They had East down 3rd and long, only to give it away from them. Take it away from them for 1st and 10. Out at about the 45-yard line.
Let's set the lineup offensively for Lincoln East. The centers, Weed. The guards are Kelly and Provorst. The tackles, Omtvedt and Plucknett.
Here's Zart. Hesitates a little bit on that handoff, then turns it up over the right side of the line himself for about 3 yards to about the 48 before he's stopped by the Northeast line.
Todd Zart not afraid to run the ball. We saw him last week against a team that he felt he could run against. He kept churning the yardage up on the quarterback sneaks. That, of course, was Fremont last week. coached by Jerry Godowski.
Been very impressed with the entire East High backfield, but Zart barking him out. Has called about the right play at the right time most of the evening. Wants to pass to the sidelines. It's complete. Complete across the way from us.
He went to Teal. He had Teal open, but Scott Schottger was also open. That shows you how tough those guys are when they're running their pattern. Schottger was on the near side. He was doing a button hook on the near hash mark. Teal was on the far side. Teal was a lucky recipient of that Zart dart.
About a yard short of the first down, however, so it brings up 3rd and 1. McCashlin and Cole in the backfield. Teal. Zart leaning forward.
I believe he got an offside against Northeast. Let's see.
Took a long count, hoping to draw the Rockets off.
Leonard Shepard, one of the attendants for homecoming, was offside that time.
So now we've had 3 penalties in the course of one series of downs. And in 2 separate occasions, Northeast has given up a 3rd down yardage situation, given East High a first down twice in a row.
You could see the pained expression on Maury Damkroger's face when he talked about this game tonight, 28-0. It's Wyckoff.
Brenda Wyckoff performed at halftime here. On first down, Cole gets the call. Cole, the left halfback in the East High veer formation, shoots through for about a yard or so. That's about all on that. In fact, I'm not even going to give him that. They'll still call it 2nd down and 10. 9:20. Unfurling a huge banner here in front of us. We'll see what it says here in a moment or so. 2nd and 10. Here's that pitch back. Cole loses the ball. Fortunately, Zart saw the mix-up on the exchange and quick jumped on it, but it brings up a loss of about 5 yards. It'll be 3rd down and about 15.
Cole had some room to run, but he forgot to carry the ball with him. Zart went down for it. He got pounced on pretty good. About turned his jersey sideways. If you get a chance, take a look at Bob Gustafson, the tight end. You can tell he's played a game tonight. His jersey is soiled.
So on 3rd and 15, the pass, and it's dropped, is intended for number 44, McCashlin. On his fingertips, could not hold it.
Zart 8 out of 18 for the night, 108 yards.
So we're seeing sort of an unusual occurrence as far as the first half was concerned. East High's drive stalling out. As you mentioned, they have been known to be a first half team. We'll wait and see what holds in the cards for them here in the second half, as Gustafson will have to punt it away. Gets a high kick, signaling for the fair catch. Downfield at about the 17-yard line. It's 24 Lane. So Northeast gets their first shot at it in the second half of play.
Let's see if they made any changes in the locker room at halftime. Calkins, still the quarterback, will set the offensive lineup as play progresses.
1st and 10 for Northeast, starting at their own 17-yard line. 8 minutes, 25 seconds left to play in this 3rd quarter. The Rockets are down by 4 tallies. Need to get on the board quickly, and the East High defense, strong as they were in that first half, will shoot through on first down for a loss of about 4.
Calkins unable to do anything with it. Up front for Calkins troops, he's got Eulinger at center, Block and Ayers the guards, Ehlers and Knuth the tackles, Fisher and Reed alternating at the flankles, Dietz at one end, Tucker at the other, Holt and Dittenber in the backfield, Ken Calkins the quarterback.
Loss of 3, 2nd down, 13.
You hear a lot about the East High offense, but this East High defense, they've got their pride too. Look at the lineup they're in right now. 3-man front, odd formation.
The handoff to Cole, or to Holt rather. He'll be out across the 15, but only back to about the original line of scrimmage, where it'll bring up about a 3rd down and 10. With 7.5 minutes to play in the 3rd, and Northeast still sputtering offensively. The shift between Fisher and Reed. Fisher into the ball game. Reed out, bringing in the plays from Andy Lohr, who, as we've said, is calling the plays tonight as Bob Ells recuperates at home. 3rd down and 10. Northeast been stymied so far this evening. And the is hit as the ball was released, they'll say it's an incomplete forward pass.
Jeff Lade, number 50, wrapped himself around the body of Ken Calkins. Just as Calkins' arm was coming through on the passing motion, the pass was batted down and nothing to cheer about on the Northeast side.
The Northeast offense, as you see the Northeast cheerleaders here, trying desperately to keep themselves cheered up. Only had one real serious offensive drive, that coming at the end of the first half, and even that wasn't quite good enough.
They did have the one opportunity following Dittenberg's kickoff return.
And fumbled that away on the first play. And Schottger receives that punt at about the 42-yard line, takes off down the sidelines, has a big hole.
Tightrow back down the sideline before he's wrapped up by Calkins.
Knocked out by Calkins at about the 30-yard line. Now Schottger slipped as he took the ball in at about the 35.
You can see the return on the far side being set up. When a team's going to set up a return, they do not rush the punter with more than one or two, possibly three guys. The rest of them make initial contact with the offensive lineman, then peel back. That is, they take off down the field and try and get one guy, pick out any guy who's got a chance of making the tackle and set up a wall.
So quickly, East High has 1st and 10 with opportune scoring position, and everybody's slipping down there. Zart took it to the turf at about the 24-yard line. Just not having much luck digging in there.
They're in a part of the field where it really is chewed up there, as you see number 82, Kevin Hubble, come in, a wing back, wide receiver. He's split out on the far side. The
Schottger is out of the game.
Really chewed up right in between the hash marks on the 25-yard line.
Gain of 2 on the quarterback keeper. 2nd down and 8. Zart turns it to the left side. See how the running is there, and he'll be about 2 yards short of the first down as he crossed the 20 to about the 19-yard line over the left side.
Tobin Ehlers limping a little bit for Lincoln Northeast, number 77, the 211-pound senior. I didn't see when it occurred, but he is limping. Let's see if they bring in a replacement for him.
3rd and 3.
Knowing Tobin, he'll stay in there.
East High with the ball at the 19-yard line of Northeast. They've had opportune scoring positions throughout the evening. This time they cough the ball up. We'll see who has it. And it is Northeast recovering the fumble. And the Northeast fans, I wasn't sure. Nobody on the Northeast side is even cheering. It's tough to tell from that sideline view. But Northeast takes the ball over at their own 19. That's the first time East has coughed it up tonight and lost it at least.
No enthusiasm. It's hard to tell who got on the ball.
5.5 minutes left in quarter number 3, and the Rockets have a chance at their own 20. Calkins, the quarterback, on the keeper, has some good room, makes a good move to the near sideline here, before he's driven out at about the 30-yard line. May have enough for first down.
Harrelson stuck him pretty good coming out of bounds. Calkins may be injured.
He got decked really well, Joe. We'll have to wait and see here on the near sidelines. We have not seen Jeff Johnson in there offensively. Seen him play a defensive secondary. Wait and see as they're attending to Calkins.
Harrelson had the angle on him coming near the sideline. Really applied a good hit to Calkins.
Still working on him down here in the near sidelines. Wind has picked back up again considerably. So Johnson will be in at quarterback while they're working on Calkins here on the out of bounds here on the near side. Now he stumbles on the exchange. And they'll pick up a couple of yards. We'll mark the ball out to about the 33-yard line.
Northeast cannot afford to let down any. East High fumbled away their chance to add to their 28-point output. Northeast gets one on. In this game, high school football, there's so much emotion and enthusiasm. Momentum can turn around looking at it from the Northeast point of view. If they just keep their heads up, keep plugging away, they got a chance.
Gain of 2, 2nd down and 8. Jeff Johnson in at quarterback for the Rockets. Keeps the ball. Gets nailed from both top and bottom as he tries to roll around the right side.
There's Ken Calkins sitting down, being attended to by the Northeast trainer. Might have gotten a little dazed on the play, considering he hasn't moved.
The ball will be placed at about the 34-yard line. Let's call it 3rd down and 6 with 4 minutes, 10 seconds in the third. Wants to drop back and pass. Johnson has time. Now he'll have to scramble out of the pocket. He'll be short of the first down by about 3 yards as the receivers just were sealed up tight downfield.
Doug Laird, the end on the left side for Lincoln East that time, did not get in the tackle, but he helped create that play. Johnson was forced to go towards the outside. Laird, the end on that side, made him go further outside and it slowed down his momentum as he ran laterally. There you see the medical crew attending to Ken Calkins. We'll try and keep up to date on that injury.
High snap on the punt. Got a wobbly end-over-ender away, taken in by Schottger at the 25-yard line. He'll start off again downfield. There he is.
Goodbye.
Schottger is gone. Perfect blocking set up ahead of him, and he's in for the score. Boy, that didn't take much.
Another return set up on the far side. They got the kick-out guy. He went down. Nobody was left as Schottger weaved his way. He got past the initial man. He got to the wall. The blocks were set up. 4 good blocks on the far side. Nobody touched Schottger after he crossed, I believe, midfield. He just went untouched the last 40 yards. Nobody even close. And Lincoln East gets a return to go along with their fine offensive showing tonight.
Boy, East has just really dominated this game offensively, Joe.
The baseball player, football player, Kurt Eubanks on the kick.
It is good. So with 3 minutes, 10 seconds left to play in the third quarter. East high, 35. Northeast with a goose egg still.
This one isn't going to, thus far, if the trend continues, isn't going to qualify in our Cablevision cardiac coverage category.
Unless, of course, you're for the Northeast side. We're not quite sure what Bob L's ailment is right now. He better not say anything about that. Unfortunate, though, that it will probably, unless something should change, they're still working on Calkins there in the near sideline. Unless something radically changes here in Northeast favor, they are very likely to lose 2 critical things. First of all, standing as far as the ratings are concerned. Coming into this game in 6th place, they would likely drop considerably. And secondly, as you talked about with Rex Jones before the game, that critical point placement.
We got a penalty flag down. The kick will not count. Rick, as we go into the fourth quarter, we're going to talk about these playoffs with the possibilities. Nothing is concrete till the end of the year, but there you see the offside call against Lincoln East on the kickoff. But we can hash it over and see what it looks like through 6 weeks of the season anyway.
Well, they're still working on Calkins. He's just been sitting on the sideline, looking very, very calmly at the near sidelines over here at the fans. Does not appear to be in any particular pain. We're not really sure at this point exactly what the problem is.
We don't want to guess on it. Ken Calkins, the only guess we can make, is a great competitor. That's known by everyone. Calkins throughout the years led Northeast attack. He's taken his bumps and bruises before. We saw him about 4 weeks ago take a hit near the goal line. He was down for a while, but he came back. It's tough to keep Kenny Calkins down for long.
Tom Hatton does the kicking into the wind. Doesn't go very far. And number 83 for the Rockets, Roy Shelton, comes up with it. So Shelton brings the ball back for Northeast, but only to about the 39-yard line. That's where Northeast will take it over from there with 3 minutes, 5 seconds left to play. And our score, 35-0, Lincoln East.
They're getting Kenny Calkins up. Well, they were going to get him up. Looks like he may be dazed.
He got hit really hard during the near sideline. A hit like that would put you and I out for the night, I guarantee you.
Within 3 feet would put us out.
Don't make too many suggestions to our director. First down and 10. Johnson with a good pass, complete across the way to Scott Reed.
That's what it's going to take for Lincoln Northeast. They can't stay on the ground down by 5 touchdowns. They've got to go to the air.
First and 10 across the field as Reed sucked that ball in, picked up the first down yardage. Good heads-up play on the part of Johnson. Roll to his right, have to pass to the right, got the pass away. Calkins is up now. They're talking to him down here on the near sidelines.
Fans giving an appreciative round of applause to Kenny Calkins.
Looks like he still seems a little bit dazed. It is first and 10. Johnson with a handoff, a big hole. And here's Dittenber all alone with one man in front of him. Can he get into the end zone? Yes! Dittenber breaks it loose all the way down the field. 49-yard run. Oh! He said, I got denied by 5 yards that first time. It's not going to happen again.
They waited a long time for this on homecoming for Northeast. And we're getting barraged by confetti. Almost grew stale through the first half.
As Northeast comes to its feet here on the near sidelines. And from the reaction of the fans, you think they just won the game.
Get a chance to see Kevin Conrad.
They'll deny East High the shutout. And with 2:27 remaining in this third quarter, Northeast gets on the board. Conrad's kick is good.
Good blocking by the Northeast line on that play. They opened up a hole actually through the center of the interior of the Lincoln East defense.
So Ken Dittenberg takes off for a 49-yard scamper through the middle of the line, and Northeast gets on the scoreboard with 2:27 left to play in quarter number 3, and it's now East High 35, Northeast 7.
I think the worst two things that can happen to a team on their homecoming, one is to get beat, but the second one is to get shut out. Northeast averted that with that fine run by Dittenberg. 35-7, East over Northeast.
Here's the kick. Northeast boots it to Harrelson at the 5-yard line. Here he starts upfield to the 25. Upended at the 25-yard line.
Harrelson made the tackle. He's the one who hit Calkins. Or correction, Harrelson carried the ball.
Number 20 for Northeast. Lance James underneath there to bring Harrelson down at the 25-yard line. 1st and 10 for East High from there. And the Northeast defense charged up. And the fans back to life. Ball to 26. East High comes out of the huddle with Todd Zart, Harrelson, and McCashlin in the backfield. Zart wants to pass on first down. Gustafson dragged down by about 4 Northeast defenders across the 40-yard line to about the 43. I'm sure it makes Bob feel better. He's missed a couple of those right in his hands earlier tonight.
Fine catch. Good for another East High first down. That'd be their 15th first down of the game.
1:59 left to play in quarter number 3. Clock continues to run. East High. The handoff to McCashlin around the left side. Got running room out of bounds at midfield.
Good block by Schottker on that far side. Not only can he catch the ball, but he can block. He got his man down, and it enabled McCashlin to turn the corner.
So the clock stops at 1:42 while they move the chains. As East High continues to move inside the 50-yard line to about the 48. As you see the first down being marked.
McCashlin's first carry of the half for the game. He's got 11 of them for 68 yards.
If there's a sudden change in your light level here, we'll explain it to you momentarily. Ball carrier Harrelson to about the 40-yard line. As we mentioned, the lights on your picture level may have dropped a little bit as the lights on the right side of Seacrest Field have gone out.
From the 50-yard line to our right is dark.
So with 2nd down and 2, Zart turns around, pitches back. Harrelson loses it. Northeast has the ball at midfield. Boy, that changes things in a hurry.
That was Chuck Story, a 202-pound senior, jumped on the ball for Lincoln Northeast. And as I said before, if Northeast just keeps plugging away, who knows?
So 1st and 10 for the Rockets at the 49-yard line. We'll see what happens here. Officials calling timeout. Timeout East High. Jeff Johnson still in at quarterback. Kenny Calkins is up down here on the sidelines right in front of us.
He's got an ice pack on his neck, on the left side of his neck.
Must have taken quite a fierce hit down there on the sidelines. The trainer's still tending to him.
So the lights are out at Seacrest.
Well, a fourth of the lights are out anyway on the the south side of the West End Zone, or West Stadium.
You know, the rates are high enough that anytime you can conserve.
I suppose so. I suppose so. Matter of fact, we're going to conserve a little energy, and we're letting you go as of tonight, Joe. Northeast with a 1st and 10 at their own 49-yard line. East High had called timeout. Talk things over defensively. Kind of an unusual time for them to call, although Zenek may have wanted to, and the defensive coaches may have wanted to say, let's settle down now. East High, as you mentioned before, has been known to have been a first half team. 1st and 10 at the 49, Northeast. Needs to hurry. Johnson with a handoff to Holt. Holt crosses midfield to about the 48-yard line.
There you see Kenny Calkins with the ice pack on his neck. Number 16 walking away from your picture. Gutsy competitor Kenny Calkins. Johnson in the game for Lincoln Northeast. He's played quite a bit. We've seen him in games previously when he's done the job for the Rockets. Much like the picture over at Lincoln High when Dale Nichols came in to get their offense going. Johnson has the capabilities of moving the offense. He mixes it up pretty well.
2nd down and 7 with 20 seconds left to play in the 3rd quarter. Johnson on a long snap count. Wants to roll out. Good move. Can't get away from everybody, though, and he'll probably be dragged down for no gain.
You see his helmet jerk back when he got hit by a host of East High tacklers.
Put the good move on number 90, Doug Laird, but Laird slowed him down enough as the quarter will run out. And so at the end of 3, Northeast gets on the board, but still trails Lincoln East 35-7. Don't go away for the 4th. It'll be a barn burner. Here we go. We're back to start quarter number 4. Johnson at quarterback wants to pass. Has time, looking downfield. Incomplete, intended for Dave Dietz.
Running to his left, throwing to his right, not the easiest thing to do. Can't fault Johnson on that play. The play was set up to go to the left, throwing across his body, couldn't get the job done.
So Northeast faces a 4th down and 9. They'll have to boot the ball away. Not something they want them to do. And they will not have the win this particular quarter. So they're going to have a tough fight ahead of them.
Let's see if East High sets up their punt return. Rick Schottger's had 2 good returns. The last one for a touchdown. The one before it, he just got nailed on the sidelines.
Kevin Conrad kicks it away. Schottger looks at it at the 20-yard line. Has to give a little ground. Oh, good move down the sidelines. Oh, and will he be upended? And a flag will be thrown right at that point.
We're going to have clipping against Lincoln East.
Flag thrown right at the point of the tackle.
It's definitely a clip against Lincoln East.
So that'll move it back 15 yards. As we're just underway here in the 4th quarter from Seacrest Field. Glad to have you with us tonight on Cablevision TV 9.
Don't forget, tomorrow night we're going to be right back here. Southeast against Norfolk. Norfolk's turned their season around. They're 4-2 now. One of the prime contenders for a rating spot. They're not currently listed in the top 10 as you see the clipping call. Southeast 5-1 on the year, rated number 5. 2nd in the district standings as far as points are concerned. They are currently tied with Westside at 40.8 for that number 5 seed in the top 8 in Class A. That's by the NSAA point standings.
1st and 10 after the clip. Zart hands off into the middle of the line. The Northeast defense stops it after about 2 or 3 yards.
Another big event coming up, Rick, is international volleyball. That's Monday night. A lot of people I know want to go see that. Don't forget, Monday night at the Bob Devaney Sports Center, international volleyball. And you've never seen volleyball like they play it. United States Olympic team that's qualified against the Korean national team at the Bob Devaney Sports Center Monday night.
2nd and 7. Long downfield pass will be picked off by Jeff Johnson. Johnson wants it back so bad, he'll just pick it off himself. Puts his head down and balls his way back out to about the 48-yard line. He took a fierce tackle. As a matter of fact, Johnson looks like he may be hurt at this point.
East High player down at the 40 or at the 39-yard line. Johnson down right at midfield.
You're looking at Johnson here as he was really decked on that tackle around the right side. Now,
there you see Johnson. The East High player's about at the 39-yard line. We'll try and get his number.
As Johnson is knocked down. You see the helicopter from one of the Omaha TV stations has been down here tonight, rushing home to bring you highlights of the game we had all the way through for you on Channel 9. So, this will slow things down a bit again while they look at Johnson on the near sidelines. The Northeast going to be running a little short of quarterbacks here.
Third string quarterback is Kevin Conrad. He's been racked up a little bit. Let's talk about these playoffs through 6 weeks. First of all, Creighton Prep is number 1 with 45.3. And tonight, for example, this game is worth 50 points because both teams are first division teams. That means they've won more than 66% of their games. Lincoln East is at 5-1 as Johnson gets up, helped off the field. And Northeast is at 4-2. So that's 66 point whatever percent, but it is more than 66. So there's 50 points to the winner. Lincoln East needs this victory to stay on top of the standings. They got to qualify. As the way it stands now, this is just through 6 weeks, remember. There's number 77 for Lincoln East, Dennis Plucknett getting up. Plucknett lines up at right tackle on offense. The way it stands right now, Creighton Prep would take on Fremont. Then either Southeast or Westside would take on Omaha Gross. Grand Island versus the one who doesn't go against Gross of Southeast and Westside. And Omaha Burke would take on Lincoln East. That's the way it stands through 6 weeks, unofficially, according to my calculations. Scott Reed, in the game at quarterback. He's a third string quarterback. Scott Reed, the first action he's seen when we've had Lincoln Northeast on the air.
Right, only listed in the program still as a flanker. Playing in there ahead of Holscher.
Fumble.
And he loses the ball. Holt is back on top of it.
Some lineman kicked it, Rick. It came about 6 yards straight back.
Reed playing, as I say, in place of Conrad or Holscher, who are both listed in the program as quarterbacks. But electing to use Reed in there. Calkins has his helmet on here on the near sidelines, but I doubt they'll use him again tonight if they can avoid it. And we're not sure how much Johnson is shook up. He's down here on the near sidelines walking around. Second down and 16 as that one went away. Loss of 6 on it. Reed is at quarterback at the 42-yard line. Here's the pitch to Dittenberg.
He's trying to throw. No, I thought he was going to throw it, but he decided not to.
And they'll wind up losing about 4 or 5 more yards as East High's defense shot through on that one, made Dittenberg drop back further than he wanted to.
You don't know for sure if they have a halfback pass in their playbook repertoire, but it looked like Dittenberg did want to throw the ball, but he was forced back so far that it threw off the timing and the execution of that intended play.
So it brings up 3rd and long, 3rd and 21.
There you see number 6, the converted flanker, Scott Reed, 155, and a senior getting the play by number 5, Scott Fisher, who'll go full-time at flanker now.
3rd and 21, 9:57 left to play in the game. 35-7, East out in a commanding lead. But Northeast with the ball and a 3rd and long. They'll have to put it in the air. Reed puts it up. Incomplete. Intended for partner Fisher. They usually shuffle in and out of there in that flanker position. Probably one of the few times this season they'll pass to each other. The Northeast will have to kick that ball away. Schottger and Teal back to receive for East at about the 40-yard line.
Things just seem to be mounting up against Northeast at this point. The quarterback Hawkins injured. Johnson shook up. They fell down early in the game to East. East got off to a quick lead. They did get their 1 touchdown, and you could just sense the momentum shifting just a little bit, but then the injury to Johnson kind of slowed that pendulum swing down.
Conrad gets a pretty fair kick considering it's into the wind, and it'll sail back to about the 43-yard line where East will take over from there. It is 35-7. Lincoln East out in front of Lincoln Northeast with 9 minutes, 47 seconds left to play. We might congratulate the Southeast High girls golf team who won the Greengrass Golf Championship this week. Southeast team member Kim Davis placed 2nd in medalist play to help lead that team to victory. 1st and 10. Ball placed at the 43. East High with it. Zard at quarterback. Hands off. Not a whole lot of running room in there. As McCashlin will move across the 45-yard line, and that's about all. It'll be 2nd down and about 8. Clock continues to count down to 9:25 now. Northeast band going to try and bring things to life in front of us here. 2nd and 8. Zart with a big handoff to McCashlin with lots of running room. Follows his blocking very well. Picks up another 7 or 8 yards out of doing that.
Put his hand right on Scott Schottger's back and directed him which way he wanted him to take. There you see the unpiling as McCashlin gets up.
A little discussion going on between the officials in Northeast.
His dad had to be proud of him last week. We talked to his dad before the game, and then he went out and had a great game. Younger McCashlin, that is, 126 yards last week. And of course, McCashlin on the night, 14 carries, 95 yards, one more carry, and he'll probably be right at the 100-yard mark.
East High at the Northeast 32-yard line, looking things over. Looks like he's checking off at the line. 1st and 10. Wind blowing the towel, and Zart has down there around quite a bit, and he loses the football. Looks like he'll have his own fumble, though.
Weather's really great for football tonight. A year ago when these two teams got together, it was a cold night for football, one of those crisp nights. A guy by the name of Tom Curry started that night for Lincoln Northeast. One of the aspects that isn't quite in the Northeast arsenal this year, that breakaway runner. Curry in last year's game had a 90-yard kickoff return. Gave him 12 touchdowns for the year through only 6 games. He later got hurt and was slowed down.
Another fumble. I think Northeast is on this one. 2 fumbles in a row, unusual for Zart. We'll wait and see. This is Northeast ball. So they'll have it back at their own 36-yard line. And on top of that, number 78, Matt Wiegerts.
A lot of people, I'm sure, surprised by the amount of point spread between East and Northeast. 28 points at the moment, 35-7. The only common opponent these two teams had all year was Fremont. Northeast beat Fremont 23-14, or in other words, a point spread of 9. East High beat Fremont 21-14, a point spread of 7. So if you look at it that way, Northeast would have been 2 points better than East using the only common opponent. But when these two teams got on the field, East settled that issue in a hurry.
1st and 10, Northeast at their own 36-yard line. The clock and the score are not in their favor at this point. The handoff to Holt, he'll pick up about 3 yards over the left side, and it'll bring up a 2nd down and about 7 at the 38, 39-yard line. Clock continues to count down to 7 minutes, 25 seconds. The quarterback, number 6, Scott Reed. 2nd down. 6 yards to go. Reed drops back up the middle on the draw to Dittenber, and Dittenber will only have a couple of yards further as the Northeast or East defensive line is really toughening up.
Play had good possibilities as it began. The linemen held their blocks. Dittenber delayed just a second coming out of the backfield, got the handoff, turned it upfield, but then the linebackers closed in a hurry and shut down the play before Dittenber got any momentum build up.
So it brings up another 3rd and long situation for the Rockets. 3rd down 5.
You'd have to say this is kind of a revenge game for Lincoln East after absorbing that 34-7 loss last year at the hands of Northeast.
3rd down and 5. A little mix up on the line here. No flags thrown, though. Long looping pass thrown downfield. Oh, and a fierce hit right over the bench for one of the East High defenders, Harrelson. And he is okay, as they say. Boy, he took a header into that bench. Narrowly missed about 2 of the Northeast trainers who were down there with their equipment on the sidelines. So it brings up a 4th down and 5, and Northeast again will have to relinquish the possession of the ball back to East. 4th down and 5, and the ball sitting at about the 41-yard line. Kevin Conrad, the punter. The wind just continues to pick up. The flag is really whipping across the way here. Conrad boots right into it, gets a poor kick off the right side of his foot. Fielded by one of the Northeast trainers over here out of bounds. And East High will get the ball right at midfield. Things just continue to go poorly for the Northeast Rockets tonight.
Northeast has its They knew they had its work cut out for it coming into this game. They'd given up 4 first downs passing defensive-wise. This game, Zart has been picking them apart in the first half especially, but also Lincoln East did what Lee Zenek wanted to do. They set up a running game. They haven't had that in the previous games too much. New quarterback in for Lincoln East.
Number 13 for East is Mark Peterson.
First time we've seen him play covering East High this year.
It'll be a 2nd down and 8, a gain of 2 on that.
See if there's any other new guys in the Lincoln East offensive line.
Good opportunity for Lee Zenek to give some of his subs some playing time here.
Gary Bohati's in the game, number 78, 213-pound junior. Also number 63, Steve Strasheim, a 150-pound senior. Number 82, Kevin Hubble's in the game. He's seen some action. Number 78, Gary Bohati, as I mentioned. There's the homecoming that we talked to Maury Damkroger about. Not quite, doesn't quite go back as far as the ones we had with Lincoln High, right? 1935, Eddie Hammond, Dirty 30s. What do they call the 69 and 70 crew? Well, we won't talk about it. Number 70 is also in the game for Lincoln East. That's Tom Hatton. They have to have some catchy title, don't they? 72's in the game. That's Merlin Borgiali. Merlin Borgiali, a 170-pound senior's in the game.
I don't remember either team calling a timeout here. The officials must have just been talking things over as they take number 33, Brian Shanks, out of the ball game and substitute Jim Rawl, number 40. Now 61, Doug Ayers comes out of the game. That was an official's timeout. Apparently, it was not charged to either side. 2nd down, 8 for East High. Ball at the 48-yard line, 49 of Northeast. Flags thrown across the way. There's a good defensive effort across the way. Stops that play for nothing.
New center in the game, number 55, Steve Miller, a 160-pound junior.
Play made by number 90 for Northeast, who's not on our roster. Stop Harrelson for no gain. Maybe a little premature to talk about basketball, but indeed that is going to be the case here before too long as they mark off the penalty. Basketball at its best, a training film for high school basketball officials, was filmed here in Lincoln by the National Federation of State High School Associations last spring. As you see the motion penalty signal there. It's going to be shown later on this fall on Cablevision. We'll keep you abreast of the exact dates and times on that. The program features high school basketball players from the 4 Lincoln Public High Schools and illustrates the rules of the game. Considerable press coverage given to that earlier in the spring when they were here shooting film for it.
We broke the story on that last year at the state basketball tournaments, talking to Jim Riley.
But watch for basketball at its best coming up later on this fall on Cablevision Channel 9. Both in our play-by-play coverage and that film. Stevenson with the pass complete to number 85, Scott Nelson.
Nice pass by Peterson.
And they'll have enough for the 1st and 10 yardage. So Peterson really puts that one in the air with authority. Scott Nelson on the receiving end of that one. 1st and 10 for East High. So the 2nd offensive unit keeps the East High momentum in gear. 5 minutes left to play in the game. Quarterback roll around the left side is Mark Peterson in there in relief of Todd Zart. Does a very good job.
You know, Rick, at Cablevision, a lot of the programming decisions are made upon public response. So if you have a response or comment about our coverage of high school football, those of you out in the audience, why don't you drop us a note? Address it to Program Director, Post Office Box 80019, Lincoln, Nebraska. If you enjoy seeing high school football, 68501's a zip code. It will help it get it faster. Just drop us a line.
Two of our programming staff right there moments ago. Here tonight to get the first-hand impression.
Our highly skilled and intelligent staff is eagerly waiting to serve you, huh?
2nd and 3. Harrelson gets the call and has the first down, running with authority. Down to about the 25, 26-yard line. 4 minutes, 14 seconds left to play in the game.
Only 2 more weeks of the season left, Rick, before the playoffs.
Well, it doesn't seem possible.
Playoffs start the 10th week of the season on the Tuesday. Then they go Saturday, I believe, and then the following week. It actually ends up 11 weeks into the season.
Tomorrow night you'll have the Norfolk Southeast game. Next Friday, Northeast Southeast, another head knocker. And we wrap it up on November 2nd with Lincoln High and East. 1st and 10 for East High. Mark Peterson, number 13, is in at quarterback. He has Chip Wiebeck split to the left side here. Peterson gets the pitch. Harrelson takes it one-handed. A good play, and is inside the 20-yard line to about the 18. He wasn't even concerned about that.
Jeff the Juggler Harrelson comes through with it. Got one hand on it. And Peterson's been moving his team. These are second stringers in for Lincoln East. Coach Lee Zenek, never one to be accused of running up the score. He's let his reserves play, and they've played quite a bit in this last quarter.
As we see the score, 35-7, Lincoln East over Northeast. Number 33 for Northeast, Brian Shanks, who was taken out of the game a few moments ago, has also had some ice applied to his back of his neck on the Northeast sideline. Another injury. 2nd and 4. This is number 20 for East, Ted Arkfield. And he'll be stopped for little or no gain by the Northeast defensive line. And another player is injured down the field. We've had a string of them tonight.
Coach Bob Ells, of course, not in attendance this evening due to some illness. He's 3-4-2 against East High. Of course, this will go against his record as being head coach of Northeast. Make it 3-5-2 if things hold true. We'll try and get the number of the Northeast player. But Lincoln East really has shown a dominating force on offense tonight, especially in the first half. That looks like, well, we won't guess on it. It looks like number 19, Kirk Holscher.
That would appear to be correct down the field at about the 22-yard line, as we've sure seen a whole string of particularly Northeast players injured tonight. Of course, they lost their first 2 quarterbacks. Dangerous loss.
Tell you, Rick, though, another sport that's going to be happening in the capital city Monday night, one you don't want to miss. That is international volleyball. The United States Olympic team featuring a girl from Palmyra, Julie Vollertson. If you knew Julie Vollertson in high school at Palmyra, or if you've heard about her, you want to see a Nebraska girl make good, she's done it. And she's on the U.S. Olympic team, and they're playing Monday night at the Bob Devaney Sports Center. So get your tickets and get down there and see it. That's quite a performance.
Hey, you convinced me.
It's
Roll out around the right side, and Peterson is going to scoot for 6.
Looks like he got a Charlie horse on the way. He's limping a little bit. Maybe not.
Didn't let that worry him too much, as he just took off around the right side and would not be denied.
A play that developed rather slowly. They cut the end in on the near side, on the far side rather, and Peterson got to the corner, turned it up the sidelines, and nobody came over to shut him off.
To our knowledge, that is his first touchdown in an East High uniform, at least this season.
This year. It's the first time we've seen him play in our coverage of East High, and that makes it 42, and that number 42 represents the most points scored between East and Northeast since 1971.
You're assuming the extra point will be good.
Of course. Eubanks is kicking, isn't he?
Yes, and it is good. And so with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left to play in our ball game, East High 42, Northeast 7. Talk about dominance on the football field. We'll shift gears a minute and congratulate also the Lincoln East High student newspaper staff. The East High Oracle has received honorable mention at the 48th annual convention of the Nebraska High School Press Association earlier this week. More than 850 participants from 31 schools took place in that annual meeting, and East High came away with all the marbles in the newspaper competition.
We'd also like to congratulate all the players and the students who were named to the honor rolls. Honor roll societies names were released this past week. And there's so many names, we can't name them individually, but we would like to congratulate every one of them that made it, especially some of these football guys. Sometimes you hear a bad reputation about football guys and academic abilities, but the ones who make the honor roll are really something to be noted.
The Northeast Deep Backs.
In volleyball last night, Rick, one more sport before we get back to football. In volleyball last night, Lincoln Northeast defeated Lincoln East. Coach Genrich has their crew going.
There's the kick. One of the better ones we've seen tonight, as most of them have been caught by the wind. Here comes Dittenberg. Oh, that little resistance at about the 27-yard line. Looked like he had a pretty big hole opening up for him there. And it collapsed around him.
Full head of steam heading into that in the middle of the wedge. One of the tacklers, Stan Nelson, number 50, a wide receiver, 150, and a junior, gets in the stat books tonight on a tackle.
First and 10 out at the 30-yard line. As you see the Northeast fans undaunted here on the near sidelines, but the fact that they're down by 35 points with 2.5 minutes left in the game. Northeast will still send in Scott Reed at the helm. Dittenber is out of the ball game for Northeast. On the near sidelines, talking things over with Andy Lohr. Jeff Montgomery is split wide to the right for the Rockets. First and 10 at the 30. Reed, late pitch, can't handle it, and East High is on top of it.
One way or another, he was going to get there, wasn't he?
Little crab walk there to get the ball, but East High comes up with it at the 30-yard line.
Number 69, that is Kurt Butheris, 180-pound junior.
So the luck just continues to go the wrong way for the Northeast Rockets. They just can't seem to put anything together the right way tonight. First and 10 at the 30 for East High, and so with the last 2 minutes of the ball game, and East High gets it back again.
Butheris came up with that fumble recovery. 1:57 to go. East High gets another chance.
Again, a lot of new players will be in that lineup for East and Northeast both at this point. Mark Peterson at quarterback. Looks over the line, and now they'll be called for delay of game.
Took too long looking over the line. Good game tomorrow night. Southeast and Norfolk. Chuck Mazurski has his crew ready to go. Another game going on tonight. Lincoln Pius X with a good game in Class B football, taking on Lexington tonight.
A lot of big games here in the closing weeks of this season.
Pius fell from number 1, according to Chuck Sinclair anyway. Went down to number 2 as McCook took over the top spot. Pius has a good rating, 47.8 in the NSAA playoff standings, so they are right up there for playoff possibilities.
First and 15. Ball at the 35-yard line. Quarterback is number 13, Mark Peterson. Gets that pitch out just at the last possible minute. Cutting upfield is number 20, Ted Arkfield. He'll cross the 35 to about the 33-yard line. It'll bring up a second down at about 13 or 14. 1 minute, 25 seconds left to play. Clock continues to run. The Northeast band going crazy here in front of us. Doesn't seem too shook up about the impending outcome. There you see some of the fans. As Joe wins his way down to the sidelines to talk to Lee Zenek. Number 25 for East, Jerry Pietenpaul. Tries the sweep around the right side. He'll be dropped for a loss. So it'll bring up a third down at about 14. Closer to 3rd and 16. And the clock continues to wind down. 45 seconds left now. .38 seconds. Clock continues to run. East High has won the ball game tonight. Just running the clock out at this point, as they'll stop the quarterback for another loss. In their number 78, Matt Wiegert. Number 60, Steve Burns. Clock continues to run. 14, 13 seconds, 12 seconds. East will have to punt that ball away if they even get it off. No, they're just going to go for it here. And that's the end of the ball game. The last play, Peterson complete. And number 85, Scott Nelson, will be dragged down at about the 18-yard line, and that's the ball game. Our final score from Seacrest Field, Lincoln East 42, Lincoln Northeast 7. Back to the closing stats and a talk with East coach Lee Zenek right after these messages. As you see the cheerleaders, alumni cheerleaders, and the other cheerleaders out there talking things over. And down on the sidelines, Joe Lococo and Lee Zenek.
Okay, with winning coach Lee Zenek. Lee, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Joe.
Great win over another intercity rival, Northeast. What about coming into this game? You knew there was a lot on the line. What did you tell your guys before the game?
Well, we just really try to improve every game, and we really tried to concentrate on some goals. And, you know, we're not just emphasizing winning, but we just got to get better every game. And I was really pleased with the first half play. I think our offensive line really came after them, and really, I think that the game was won up front, both offensively and defensively, and our defensive line really came across too tough and really stopped their running game and got him in a hole, and I think that pretty well shut it off that first half.
Passing-wise, Todd Zart had a good night.
Yes, Todd had a real good night, and they were doubling on Schottger quite a bit, so we couldn't go to him as much, so we went to some other receivers.
In past games, we've heard that the ground game hasn't quite been what it's supposed to be for Lincoln East. Tonight, do you feel it came through?
Oh, yeah, I think that we've been building a little momentum every week and getting a little better every week, and I think this was probably our best offensive performance up front. We really came off the football well, I thought.
Okay, congratulations. I know you want to get in the locker room to talk to your guys. Wish them our best from Cablevision.
Thank you, Joe.
Winning coach Lee Zenik of Lincoln East Spartans. Tonight, his team emerges victorious over Lincoln East and remains in prime contention for the playoff spot. Back to you, Rick.
Thank you, Joe, as the Northeast Rocket will be transported back home for a kind of a somber homecoming celebration tonight as the Rockets take it on the chin 42-7 at the hands of Lincoln East. Let us take a look at the final statistics for tonight's game. In the rushing department, Northeast finishes 23 for 106 with Dittenberg 8 for 51, Holt 7 for 47, and the quarterback Calkins 5 for 7, and the replacement quarterback Jeff Johnson 3 carries for only 1 yard totally. East High's rushing is split up among several different people, but notably 50 carries for 234 yards in the total, and number 44 McCashlin 14 for 95, Zart 16 for 55, Cole 8 for 31, and Harrelson 5 for 24, notably for East High. In the passing department, Northeast winds up 2 of 7 for 23 yards, East 12 of 22 for 162 and 1 interception. First downs, 19 for Lincoln East, only 5 for Northeast. Penalties, Northeast penalized twice for 20 yards. East High penalized 6 times for 40 yards. All but one of those penalties took place in this second half of play. In the punting statistics, Northeast winds up with 8 punts for a 29-yard average. East High only punted 3 times with a 28-yard average. The wind getting in the way a lot in the kicking game tonight. In the total yardage final statistics, Northeast finishes with 129. East High 396 unofficially, close to a 400-yard game. Outstanding for a high school team here. 3 turnovers for Northeast, 3 turnovers for East. So the scoring and the story of this game, as Lee Zenik said, the game was won up front, both offensively and defensively. Joe, you've rejoined me in the booth here, and I'll tell you, it was a hard-fought game, and the line really did.
Heck of a game, as Coach Lee Zenik said. One note, Coach Bob Ells had the flu. He got it during midday today, so dizzy he couldn't stand up, so we wish our best to Bob Ells. Winning Coach Lee Zenik mentioned how well the first half went for Lincoln East. Total dominance on their behalf. A good ball game, and East High stays right there on top of the ratings.
And Joe, you'll be back tomorrow night along with Rich Clausen to bring you the Norfolk Southeast game here at Seacrest Field. We invite all the fans to tune in again for that. Next Friday, we'll be back on the air at 7 o'clock for Northeast Southeast. And then the following Friday, the 2nd of November, Lincoln High versus East to wrap up our regular season coverage. So 3 games left. We hope you'll enjoy them all right here. And until tomorrow night, this is Rick Alloway for Joe Lococo, our statistician Ron Huber, and the entire Cablevision 9 sports crew saying thanks for joining us and good night from Seacrest Field. This has been High School Football 79. Tonight, Lincoln Northeast and Lincoln East.